Patty, welcome aboard the program.
Well, fancy seeing you here.
Yeah, how y'all doing? Good to see you on this fine Tuesday afternoon. Welcome aboard the Postgame Show alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. It's Brewwwwwsday. Ryan Brewer beat me here.
He did.
Yeah.
By a lot.
Yeah. I was, of course, he was apparently at the same intersection as I was, and yet somehow he made it here quicker than me.
Yeah, he had no problem.
I don't know how.
Well, I didn't
Interesting.
fabricate a really bad wreck, so I just went past it like everybody else.
Ryan just takes his big old truck and just says, I'm moving along.
Jay turned country on us real quick and decided to rubberneck and was just seeing what was going on. He jumped out of the car and said, "Can I help you?"
I'm
Jay Phillips. Can I help y'all?
Our good friend and former colleague Brent Johnson used to, when he was doing traffic on his old morning show back in the day, he'd say that and he'd pause and go, "Ooh, I think I know him," as people were rubbernecking. Yeah. I almost got in a wreck one time years ago, right in front of the church on Woodrow. What is that?
Wilson, former president.
Not Woodrow. Woodrow and Blossom. That old church there. I think it's a Presbyterian church.
Yep.
And Shannon Pres. Does that
I
sound
don't know.
right?
I just said yes.
I think that's right.
Because it doesn't matter.
I think. Well, and there was a cop that had just pulled somebody over. That was it. And bless her heart, there was an elderly woman in the car in front of me. And she was determined to slow down to about 8 or 10 miles an hour. And, I mean, I watched her neck crane the entire time, turning around back towards, I'm like, ma'am. It was probably somebody going about 40 and a 30. It's all good. Like, you need to keep moving.
You keep going.
Keep on going. But anyway, we're all here, ready to go. It's instead of just Brews Day, by the way, it's also just Ryan Day.
It's a big Ryan day.
Because Ryan Suckup is going to be with us a little bit later on.
Oh, yeah.
You want to hang around?
He can't steal my day, though.
Well,
you
no,
can't, don't you just start? No, I'm not into sharing that kind of stuff.
And no, we do not have Ryan Day.
I was going to say, we can't call it a Ryan day because that would insinuate the Ohio State head coach is coming in.
If we
That's
did,
not going to happen.
If we no, yeah.
We could.
Well,
I can make a phone call.
What if we told him Lou Holtz was going to be in with us? I know they get along really well.
Love that.
And so if he asks, I'd like to know where Lou Holtz is right now. We could say, "Hey, buddy, in the 107.5 The Game studios
It's
with
right
us."
here. Do something.
You know what we do
Yeah,
at that point? You know what we do? And then
Man to man.
No,
Get him to fight.
then we call Courtney Levitt.
That would be really funny.
And just see how long it would take.
For Ryan
I don't know.
Day
I don't
to-
think Ryan Day would, man. I think we would have, as long as Ryan Day couldn't see us, I don't think he would know that Coach Holtz wasn't here.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think.
I know you're here for that now.
Levitt's phenomenal. He's got to do the older, the version. Holtz is, his tones change a little bit. We got we'll work on that tomorrow night.
Coach is getting close to 90, right?
190, yes.
No, he's not.
Him and Mr. Burns.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. How old do you think I am? 101? Or I'm only 81. Yeah. Anyway, how you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. There was some death and chaos on the field.
That's what you were looking for?
That's what I was looking for. I think Go Diego
Nobody
Go
died.
was...
Nobody actually died. So figurative death.
Figurative, but I think Go Diego Go was limping off the field. I think we helped out future teams against Vanderbilt because how
he went.
That defense was just bringing it at the second half for sure. But the whole game. But that was I just so much fun to watch. It really is.
Yeah.
I really believe there has to be an internal competition. Who's making plays? Who's doing this? But just assignment football. They're winning us ball games, and they put us in a lot more talk, a lot of positive talk that even some playoff contention talk going on. I'm not going to buy into that yet, but
no,
14% according to the FPI.
Well,
so you're saying there's a chance.
You ain't.
That's better than 1 in a million.
What do we say? You can't win 5 in a row. When this stretch run began, you can't win 5 in a row if you don't win 1 in a row. So now they've at least won 2 in a row. In terms of the month of October or November, 3 in a row overall. But all right. So what's the line after you better win, but not all the way up to must win? Is there can we, if there isn't a category, can we create one in between those, like you better win or must win? Because that's what Saturday is. Like, you got to win this game.
I think this is more you better win than,
You better win. You must, whatever. It doesn't matter. Win the freaking game.
Well, just do we add some adverbs to it? You really, really, really better win this game, like something like that, because that's what this one
Or
is.
this is a how serious do you think you are game?
Yeah.
Like a serious
You
team
have
will
to
beat
win.
up on the limping Missouri team coming in here.
Well,
and I think this is a serious football
Shane
team.
made mention a couple of times today that last time they were ranked, they went out the next weekend and laid an egg. And if I'm not mistaken, was that against Missouri or was it against Florida? Because either way,
I've been in Florida.
Florida, I think.
Either way, this is one that you got to go.
Yeah, they owned us for 5 years now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing.
Well, Eli's had you for 5. Missouri's had you for 6, I think. 18, yeah. Well,
other way
whatever
around,
that
right?
is. I don't know. I don't
Eli's had us for 6. Missouri's had us for 5.
know. Okay. No,
Right,
they
'cause App
the
State,
last
yeah.
time Carolina beat Missouri was 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So
Yeah,
they
it's 5. That's one hand.
This'll be
Do
six.
not let them get to the other hand.
Streak ends
not get
with
them
this
yet.
hand.
And then, so Eli has, I guess, the same amount then, because again, in 19, App State came here, but they got to win this game. But we'll come back around to that. I just want to say that that's the importance of this week, is you have to beat Missouri.
I'm hungry for it, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, I
it means a little
feel
something.
I think that, like you said, the whole you get ranked. I don't even think they care about rankings right now. I think they may be in a little bit down. That's not what they're looking for.
Oh,
These
he
guys
used it as motivation last week.
individually they're playing unbelievable. As a team, as a unit, they're all together right now.
Yeah.
And that's more important. If you so they're battling for each other out there, and you're seeing what's going on, just the group tackling going on, the everyone hungry for the football, how the offense is just starting to gel. The O line, good. I mean,
Yeah.
that had to be the best game I've seen him play.
Yeah, and even Josiah went down, and Tree came in, and everything
Tree
was
did great.
Was
Tree might have been your best player on the line.
right along. Elijah made a great point yesterday about the Rocket Sanders reception for a score, and how everybody was doing their part. I mean, you could just watch it as it just continued on down the field.
That's my favorite play in football, by the way.
But yeah, I was getting ready.
It is a mirror, and not mirror because he cut across the field. But if you watch Outback Bowl, the same screen, exact same screen we did, and I didn't have to do anything because my O line just went down there and absolutely demolished everybody.
Right.
And you just follow them, and then I find the end zone. He had to outrun one guy because he cut across the field. And actually, I think even Harbor might have outran that guy and gotten his way. So it's just the blocking on those type plays, and you see the effort. Because, I mean, the guys pulling – offensive linemen, when they get the pull like that, they love it, especially if they get to smash a safety, a corner, even outside linebacker, somebody, just putting them in the dirt. And you can see they're trying to absolutely kill them down there. And then you fall in the blocks, and you're falling butts and hats and going to the end zone. It's just such a beautiful play call.
What is Rocket Sanders feeling right now? Take us into where, I mean, just what's going through his mind over this last, say, month?
Just the confidence now of knowing – we've had this conversation, not about his feeling, but about the O-line, let's say 3 weeks ago. How many times did you get hit in the backfield? How many times, you get the ball and now you're trying to make someone miss 1 yard, 2 yards deep in your own backfield. Now, I mean, there's some plays where it was perfectly designed. You got to make one man miss. Running back, your job is to make one guy miss. That one guy should not be in your backfield. Right. That guy, he may be a filler, and he may be at the line of scrimmage. Normally, he's 2 yards, maybe 3 yards, past the line of scrimmage, the positive side. And, that starting to happen. So now he's like, man, he can get a feel for the play, the zone. He's finding reads. He's confident with a little hezzy, then going through, depending on which play call it is. But if he's even hit it harder, sometimes he's confident in where the O-line is going to be in every play. And then it's just, I think right now he's just one of those guys that's thinking, I got everything going mentally, physically, health-wise. You see, I believe he's finally at 100%. And getting that many carries, and he's getting stronger as the game goes on. If you see a running back, he's getting stronger and faster as the game goes on, he's in the zone, and you know that he's taking care of the game.
And then I think the physicality on the offensive line, just like continuing to replicate what they did against Texas A&M, where we saw what might be looked like the peak of what this offensive line can do in terms of like clearing the way. I mean, I think it was Rocket's second touchdown. I mean, Tree basically was doing his best impersonation of a bouncer on Broadway and escorted some dudes out of the club, and that club's called the Box, and he just escorted them out of there, and he was able to stroll to get to that second level and then do what he does. But I feel like this offensive line, in terms of just being in sync and being able to just be movers of men, has been significantly better now than if you watch a game from back in September.
Which is, they're the same guys, except you said maybe guys bouncing here and there, but the same O-line. So what's the difference? Why are they able to do this now? They didn't get stronger during the season. I mean, yeah, they do some. Normally, you get worn down. You're getting beat up. It is all mental. It is all they are understanding what the play calls are. They're not thinking anymore. They're just playing football, and they're realizing, all right, you talk about their freshman tackle. You talk about guys like your feet are wet. You're not a freshman anymore. So, but he's starting to feel the speed of the game for them is all slowing down, and it's because if you're at the line of scrimmage, and I know this offense, so the verbiage is complicated. A lot of especially when you have back-to-back OCs that were calling NFL type plays, the verbiage, there's a lot of words going in there. There's a lot of thinking going in there. If you stop thinking and you're just playing football, it's a lot easier. So I think to the point you can kind of tell they're grasping. All right, when the play's called, their body language, the confidence is so much different in the last two games. Because they're going out there, know what they're doing, know what they're getting into, and they're just playing football. And it's the movers of men, whatever you want to call it. They're playing, and now I can get dirty and mean because I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. Run play, where I'm going, and I don't have to think about it.
Last week we had a call ask about Nick Harbor and his development. I thought he played a pretty big role. You mentioned even the blocks as well, but
I thought this was not a coming out game, but this was a role where you're like, hey, he was a legitimate help on this team. I want to say SEC receiver, but a legitimate contributor to this team winning this ball game. Not just the catches, what he was doing blocking wise, breaking tackles, running with authority on the left sideline, just and getting his legs moving. That when he caught the ball on that sideline and didn't truck guys, but he's moving two guys with him.
Right.
When he got up, you could see. I like this.
Yeah.
You could feel it and see it. Like this guy likes this, and that's when you're like, all right, he is a football player. Right. And that catch he made, a little scramble, it was just a little, hook, a deep hook and scramble and getting open and, making a great hands catch, getting upfield and getting positive yards. But that's great. That's what you're supposed to do as a receiver. It's the blocking that he's doing that I'm impressed with. He's not scared to go stick his head in there, which normally, I play with some track guys. Normally, that's not what they're there for.
Right.
They're because I run fast.
Right.
That's why I'm here. Right. I'm not here because I hit guys.
Right.
But he's got, and he's going to get stronger too. And that's, and again, when you've seen everybody getting better this late in the season, it's exciting because we have some really interesting football games left that we're favorites, and it's time to keep going in the right direction.
The Athletic today even said now they project South Carolina to go. Wait for it, 9-3.
How about that?
So,
you had told yourself that at the beginning of the year. How much would you think has to go right for that to happen, given the schedule?
Week one, we're trying to talk everybody off the ledge.
Right.
Now the Athletic's saying 9-3.
Yeah.
And it's again, young guys playing, young guys getting better, young quarterback turning into Superman out there. You got you have healthy running backs, and again, if we had healthy quarterback and running back against LSU, it's even different. We have it's just there's a lot of moving parts in this game, but we 9-3 is all again. We got to stay healthy. We got to stay on the right path. We can't let this get to our heads, and we got to stay hungry.
Next time you see Josh Pate, by the way, you know who Josh is on his team. Just give him a fist bump. He is totally with you on, and many others on the LSU game.
Yeah,
and it doesn't have anything to do with Lenore's getting hurt.
Yeah, I know.
All right,
that has to do with me throwing you out the window.
Yes. Well, yes.
But good. I mean, I think, like I said, I think you're the only one on the other side of it.
No, I don't think I am. I don't think I am. And I'm not on. I'm not on another. I'm on your side. I didn't allow it to let.
All right, let's not talk about that. I'm gonna get all it's already hot in here.
I'm going like
sweating.
240 over 12 on my blood pressure. That's all.
Talk about Josh Simon. Let's talk about Josh Simon.
We'll do that on the other side then. We got a lot to do with Ryan Brewer to continue assessing what went right in the Vanderbilt game, and again, why you really gotta beat Missouri. You're listening to the Postgame Show. We're into mid-November, holiday season basically upon us, and that means family and friends coming in, and you got your uncle that wants to watch a game from his alma mater, and you got the kids that want to watch a parade on Thanksgiving or, the dog show. You're like, hey, what am I going to do? I need a bigger home theater system that everybody can enjoy with all kinds of stuff. That's why you call Integrated Media. All right, 803-948-8327. If you can dream it, they can do it. Maybe you've seen multi-television setups in a sports bar. You say, can I do that in the room over the garage or in our big family room? Yes. Yes, you can. What if they want to go sit outside and enjoy the nice fall weather? Can I do that with a home theater system? Yes, you can. Outdoor systems built to be out there all the time. Listen, do yourself a favor. Call 803-948-8327 and elevate your home theater experience like never before with my good friends at Integrated Media. Welcome back into the postgame show, our Brews Day edition with our good friend Ryan Brewer alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Ryan Suckup will be with us a little bit later on, and we got a lot of sound from Coach Beamer, who spoke today at 1 o'clock and went about a half hour. And we'll pick up right where I said we would because Ryan just a second ago mentioned what Nick Harbor is doing without the ball and how that's impressive and how you can definitely tell he's coming along. And we've talked a lot about Josh Simon and Elijah, again, stealing from Elijah to make my point here. Josh has become the easy button for Lenoris, that number one target, that guy that you can just, all right, he's there. I got him, go. And Shane said, sure, you guys see all the catches, but he too, Shane, saying, listen, just watch him without the ball. Yeah. And that's a big deal.
He is. He's blocking. He's doing everything to help the team win. And it's impressive, which really it's hard to figure out is why they're letting him run like wide open down on seam routes and, why safeties are shifting. I know Sellers does a great job with his eyes, keeping the safety over, but or who's do you want to throw the ball to? That's I just don't get that part. But the intangibles and what he's doing without the ball in his hands and running routes is definitely helping this team win. He's blocking. He's just a leader out there. Body language, everything that I see is. I thought he was great last year. He just had his number 2 tight end, but he was one of those guys that you watch in practice. And I was like, that dude can play.
Take us through a little bit of what you're seeing from Dowell Loggins in the play calling and how things are setting up. I mean, listen, I'm not here to take anybody to task, but we all hear through the years, through the generations, it's play calling when things aren't going well. And when it is going well, that dies down, but there's very little praise. And I think a guy like Dowell deserves some accolades. But from your point of view, and what you remember with Skip dialing plays up for you guys, and Dowell loves eye candy and things like that. What are you seeing that's
I don't know why I hate the word eye candy or hate that phrase, but it is. I mean, it's he's he definitely the motions, the orbit motions that they'll do one motion one way, and then another guy comes the other way, and you look at him like that. Why? That's just wasting energy and movement. But the whole time he's finding in his head as the OC, all right, what are they doing? Matchup, man versus zone. Also, now I'm putting myself into a situation where I know I have Josh Simon, matched up to who he wants on that play or whoever he wants that matchup going. But it really goes back to what we said earlier. This offense is understanding the playbook. All these play calls that you got to think when they're in the huddle, they're calling protection, the play. If there's 3 different motions, they're saying this and this. They're telling you what X, Y, what X, Y is doing, what your A is doing, what every player is getting, assignment. And that gets a lot. It's a lot of information shooting out there. Now all of a sudden, the receivers know what they're doing. Running back knows what he's doing. Quarterback, which is the most important, knows what he's doing. He's not thinking anymore. He's just playing. And you have all these guys that have going through this playbook that I know earlier. So we got to simplify it. We got to go to you want to say the Nebraska thing. Now we don't.
Right.
Now we can throw more stuff in there. You're seeing that. He's throwing more in there because this works. Hey, let's go. We're going to installs this time and let's do 5 more plays. This is what we see can work against, and they're grabbing from other teams. What worked Texas A&M versus Missouri? What worked this against Missouri? And they're finding these plays. The shovel pass that we did, a couple weeks ago that we stole from. I think we stole it from
Vandy, yeah.
From Vandy. And that's a play that everyone runs, but it's not one we didn't have installed yet or ran it a bunch in practice. Just running it one time in practice is not going to work. Now you're like, oh, this play worked. Now let's run it multiple times during the week. Make sure we got the right personnel in and all that things going on. And now you have an older group, and I say older because they played in 9 games or however many games.
Experienced
group.
I know what you mean.
That grasp the essential parts of our playbook. They know the nuts and bolts of it. So now we can expand. And I think you're seeing that happen. You're seeing the pocket movement. You're seeing things that all right, I know if he rolls out to the right, he's this percentage of things. And they have all these numbers that baffle me. Elijah, you love all the numbers, but they have they know, all right, if he's here in the pocket, if it's a clean pocket, it's this percentage. If he, goes right, left, and whatever, they know where Sellers excels at. And that's where I think his OC is his mind, the beautiful mind of the OCs are, they find this and it becomes a chess match out there. And all of a sudden they're realizing they're kicking these guys' butts on it.
I think my favorite thing from Saturday was when we were evaluating Vanderbilt during the week. We were talking about how good they are on 3rd down. And how they don't have a lot of negative plays, but that's how they extend the game, right? Is they convert 3rd down a lot. They're able to hold the ball for 40 minutes. I think they held it for 40 minutes against Alabama, which is the duration of a college basketball game. But they do that because they're so good on 3rd down. Well, South Carolina, I think, out Vanderbilt in that category.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 9 for 12 on 3rd down, and on 3rd and shorts, so just anywhere from 3rd and inches to 3rd and 4, 6 for 6, a perfect 6 for 6. Well, it kind of goes into a lot of that too, in terms of just converting the clutch ones right there.
And the crazy part is watching that game and those 3rd downs. A lot of them were like, uh-oh. I mean, Sellers got hit 3 yards deep in the backfield. Rocket got hit. Attaway got hit, and then Rocket started turning his legs. He drugged so many guys 5 yards when it was a 3rd and 2, maybe 3rd and 3, and he got hit 2 yards in the backfield. And he took him 5 more yards. And that's where he's like, oh, that excites me as a running back and as a football player. It's like when you get hit and you keep dragging them. And these aren't little dudes. These are grown ass men. He's dragging, you know, and he's just feeling it, is how strong they are. Sellers got hit, got turned around, but just started turning the legs going and fell forward for a first down. And those are they're not just drive continuing plays. They're also just momentum builder. And as a running back or a football player, when you do that, your confidence and you feel so like you're ready to go again. I just ran through all of you. Give me the ball again. I'm going to do it again. I mean, it really is. That's what starts going through your mind and through your body. It's like, I can do this. And that's, so if you start extending those drives and you're doing that, and you're wearing that defense out, you can tell when you're at the bottom of that pile or, you know, in the pile with them, and you can tell they're breathing. You can tell by, you know, their body language, how they're, you know, you look them in the eyes and you say, I got your ass right now. There's nothing you can do. And I think that's where they start, especially that second half, they were just wearing them out.
Yeah, absolutely. 9 of 12 on 3rd down makes a big difference as well.
Huge. And that's what in an A&M game too. I mean, we're in the beginning of the season, we weren't making any 3rd downs. Yeah. That's just showing that this offense is growing exponentially. We went from these little baby steps to now it's like we are going leaps and bounds better. And if it keeps going that way, watch out.
When you look at the growth of Lenoris, again, there was a setback. Now, I say setback, that's not the right word. But he did fumble the ball the other day.
He did.
And it was because he, again, trying to get away and not securing the football, and those things will come. But it's obviously outweighed by what he's able to do. But those little things, how...
He was this close to being perfect again.
Yeah.
I can't call him Superman this game because he fumbled.
Right.
You know, I can't. But the game before, unbelievable. What he did, still not giving up sacks. He's spinning away, doing all that stuff. He's a guy that's going to make plays. That's going to happen. But know where you are. Again, I'm. You all know I am a proponent about fumbling the football. It's the worst thing you can do, especially in the red zone of the other team.
Right.
He better have gave Kennard the highest 5 and the biggest butt, pat when he came off the field, saying, "Save my ass, buddy. Thank you so much." When he came off the field, because that's huge in that game. Yeah. I mean, you'll never know. Again, we if it all pans out the same, but that's a momentum killer. That's in the red zone. They're getting points. They're scoring first. You know that's a big deal, and especially for a team. You know, but right back at it, Kennard gets it. Then you see the confidence that we just go for these long, sustaining drives, and they're fun to watch. I do love the big plays. Don't get me wrong. I love when Rocket's going for 60, 70. But when you can just you're methodically just beating the crap out of the other team, that's when you know you got them.
Is there anything else that's going to be said? I mean, Lenoris understands it. You're not going to sit here and scream at him if you're Shane or Dowell or you know.
Here's the thing. So he was running with the ball loose, and when the ball was actually punched out, he was tucking it with his left arm, I believe, right? I believe. So, I mean, he was trying to tuck the ball. He's not used to running like that. He always has it out like he's Walter Payton, doing that Eric Dickerson type, running. But I feel like he's trying to. It's a good punch out. Yeah. At the same time, you're big, strong. You know they're coming, especially you get through there. They're coming at all different angles, especially from behind and trying to get that ball out. He's learning. These were easy turnovers earlier in the season.
Right.
Now we're 1 and 2 games. I'll take it.
No, I get
Especially when you got a defense going to get right back to you. I'll take it.
Yes, as long as you know that.
You knew that.
Yeah, as long
exactly.
as you know,
I got this. Yeah, you guys got this.
That's what's going to happen. Lots more to do with Ryan as the post-game show rolls on. It's the Brewwwwwsday edition. We're talking Gamecock football, as we often do here, especially on our Brews Day editions with our good friend Ryan Brewer, which I have not given him his full introduction as of yet. The former Gamecock wide receiver, punt returner, kick returner, special teams gunner, team captain, husband, father, business owner, soccer coach. We were just talking about.
I don't think you said running back in there.
I did.
No,
I said running.
Might have missed
Former Gamecock
wide receiver,
running back, punt returner,
I
kick
don't
returner.
think so. It's whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. We need some
Let's
more
play the tape
corroboration.
back. Play the tape back. I did. I told Elijah yesterday. On Saturday night, I texted Deuce and I said, "Hey, this Sanders guy reminds me of that kid at airport that used to work with us."
Yeah, I see it.
And just left out the other 12 years.
Yeah, he's definitely up there. I mean, Sanders is. I mean, these last two games.
Well, I mean, the ability to catch the football.
That's a big comparison there.
Yeah, it is. Deuce was very good.
Yeah.
Played in the NFL for a long time. I think Rocket can play in the NFL for a long time.
Yeah, and I think this is
How about Rico Dowdle, man?
killing it right now.
Yeah.
Well, Dallas, but he's doing well.
Doing great. I mean, I'm sorry Dallas isn't, but I mean, Rico is like from my hometown 1B.
Okay.
So I got the Asheville connection to him, and I got the Gamecock connection to him, and my wife loves the Cowboys. So I'm like, you go, Rico.
That's the most Jay Phillips player you could possibly conjure up.
Pretty much.
He's a stop in Denver away from becoming the ultimate Jay Phillips player.
That would be awesome.
Don't ruin him.
That would
He's
be
doing
awesome.
so well. Even though Dallas, he's still doing. He goes to Denver to
Sean will find a way to make it work.
You can do what he did to Javonte Williams, is play him a lot for the beginning of the year and then just not give him the ball for the rest of the season.
And that hurt yesterday or Sunday. That was terrible. That was terrible. Did you see Orlovsky break down how Kansas City was inching closer to blocking a kick, though? I was like, well, I guess Denver deserved it.
I mean, it was coming.
It was coming. I love Orlovsky, man.
He's awesome.
That's that dude. He needs to be elevated. This sounds mean. He's wasted in studio. I mean, I know he does games, but he needs to be like. I guess he's not going to take over Herbie's spot in that company. But I mean, who's number 2 now? Like McElroy and yeah. I mean, so
Tessitore and
who
Jesse
works
Palmer.
Who works with Jesse? Okay.
Orlovsky's awesome. I love him. I love him. I do love him in studio when watching these games because he'll go back during like the halftime show and break down a bunch of stuff that happened. Like he did it for the Carolina-Alabama game, and it was awesome. It was so informative.
I thought Aaron Murray did well.
Aaron's getting a lot better. But who works? McElroy works with McDonough, Sean McDonough.
Yeah,
who I also love. Like McDonough and Orlovsky, that would be a team.
that'd be a really good one.
Nothing against McElroy. He's doing a great job, but I just Orlovsky's is good. Anyway, before we move any further here, I do want to remind you that Ryan Brewer's visits here on the Postgame show and on the game are brought to you by none other than Ryan Brewer and Ryan Brewer Fence. And let me say before I pitch it over to him.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You do the pitch. Tell me. I mean, without even knowing what you're going to say, just tell me.
The Phillips's job is now complete. Our custom-made gate was installed yesterday on the back fence next to some custom-made lattice work that my wife had wanted done to kind of give it a little something back in the on the patio.
Oh,
I don't know how many linear feet of fence were installed at my house, other than definitely triple-digit linear feet, and it looks absolutely spectacular. And again, my coupon didn't work, so this is a full disclosure, completely paid job, and I could not be happier with. And really, it ain't about me. Mrs. Phillips absolutely loves our brand
we know
new
who to
Ryan Brewer fans.
who to make happy. You know, has nothing to do with you.
She is.
That's the value in the business, right
that's
there.
the value. We know.
She is thrilled, and she saw the gate yesterday, and she was all excited. And then she's like walking around for a second, and she's like, "I just love these caps. What we got the fripp with the, but we got the
all our
post
fence
caps.
styles are named after cities in this great state.
Mostly coastal cities, it seemed, which is clever.
Yeah. So and that's our fripp is for our flat top. You know, we kind of try to play on with the first letter, what type it is.
I see what you did.
You did a little 6x6 flat top fence there, and you got full height. You know,
It looks fantastic in all seriousness. And so after all the ragging on me about calling you to get it done and then not getting it done, it's done.
You waited for the perfect time.
I did.
Look at that.
Look at that.
So, if you want the same type of experience, go to ryanbrewer.net. or see us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all that fun stuff, and we will take care of you.
You run the Instagram account?
There's multiple hands in it, I believe, but yeah, I try to do the motivational moments and stuff like that we do.
I was almost expecting like a hell no.
No, I do that. Yeah, motivation moments I do through Miss Ann, who's in the front desk, and she does writes them on the whiteboard, and then we put a picture with the fence that we usually do that day.
Okay.
With the moment, with the passage.
Nice.
So and I have to do it yet today.
I need to do more Instagramming according to my children, so I'll start to check you out.
There you go.
RyanBrewer.net. No, seriously, man, we're very excited. All right, a little bit more on Vandy. Let's go to the defense for a second here. And Diego Pavia was running for his life, and the one play where they scored was all about him. And you kind of knew he would get his somewhere along the way. I think we all anticipated that he'd do just a little bit more. What is it telling you, especially about what Carolina is able to do up front, and like what you're seeing offensively? Do you feel like this defense is actually continuing to get better?
I think they are, and I think the best part about it is you have guys like Knight and other guys telling coach that we're not even there yet. We're just getting better and better. So Elijah, number guy, how many downfield passes did they actually complete in this game? I mean, the first one I remember was number 28, which he made a spectacular catch, fell on his back.
And that ball got there right before, I can't remember if it was Nick or which safety was diving in on it. I mean, missed it by a finger, maybe. I mean, it was incredibly close.
But every pass play they went for was trying to get short game or quick stuff. They were even trying to cut our D line because they just respected the pass rush so much. It's hard, and the only time then we had to scramble, and we did leave the middle of the field open a little bit for scrambling, but I think he paid for every yard, every inch he got, and that's part of it. And I hate to see him limping off the field at the end like he did, but I mean it's part of it playing against this defense. They're coming at you. And for what do we say, death and destruction or whatever.
Yes.
The Carolina
Death and
Reapers, chaos. Yes, chaos. The Carolina Reapers are, but
again, figurative death.
they are.
Don't want them to kill anyone.
But they're playing so well up front that it's making the jobs of the DBs that much easier to read what's happening and to react to the game. They can be proactive on it and know that, hey, even if they do a double move, most of the time I think my DN's going to get them in the backfield. So it's not going to be majority of the time, a clean pass. I might have my safety's got time to get over. Some of the passes he made were, they're floaters because he's not a tall guy to begin with.
Right.
So, but he was trying to get over the guy, and he's floating it over there, giving our safeties time to get in, or even our corners who may have got beat on the line at first move, but they had time to get back to it. And that's just a testament of what's going on there. But I really think the linebacking core with what Debo, especially what Knight's doing right now, is making a huge impact. The run game has no chance right now with them because Knight's so freaking fast. He's so long, and it's just him moving laterally side to side, and now it just, again, growing, reading the game. The guy can run. You can run a 4.5 all you want, but if you can't read the game, you're going to be behind. You're going to miss. The read and react of what Debo and Knight are doing is phenomenal.
And like you mentioned, how that makes so much stuff easier to be proactive with the secondary. I mean, they had 8 pass breakups as a team and did not get called for one defensive pass interference or holding. Not one. And Peyton
not one, but none were questionable.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
there was none that was like 50-50 or anything like that. No. And then someone like Peyton Williams comes in when DQ Smith gets hurt, and he leads the team in pass breakups. And like it's one of those things too where I guess if you want a perfect illustration as to what complementary defensive football with back end helping front end helping back end, I think you probably got the best illustration of that on Saturday.
Yeah, with the DBs, a D line, the rotation. Did you know that guys are, besides knowing who they are? If you're just a casual fan, you're like, oh man, look, the starters are killing it in there. Well, no, that was our third string guy.
Yeah,
just came in.
You're missing 2 backups.
Yeah,
right.
I mean you wouldn't know if you don't know this team, and that's the testament of complementary football, but it's a testament of how hard they're working because they know when my moment's in, I got to shine. I got to make a play. I got to do what I'm supposed. And it's not like they're. A lot of times you'll have the reaching too much. It's like I gotta go tackle the ball carrier. But if that's not your assignment, no, your assignment's to fill this gap so someone else can twist in and make the play. And that's what they're playing for each other. And they're playing fundamentally sound football at a very high pace. And they're moving so fast that it just disrupts the whole offensive flow. And it's it's a DC's dream job right now to have that going and knowing that we're getting, knock on wood, hitting my head here, but that we're getting better and, hopefully everyone's healthy for this game.
Well, we'll talk about this game coming up here. Gamecocks still heavy favorites against Missouri in what, again, I've called, if not must win, then you really, 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 really better win game.
Or a please win.
Or that. That's
Just
more
kick
polite.
their ass.
That's polite.
That's more polite. Yeah, that's what my mama would have asked me.
Ass kicking's polite too, to a degree.
Well, this week it could be. And Langston has weighed in a little bit too, not via the show, but via Twitter, which was pretty funny. We'll get into that and more with Ryan's previews of the Mizzou game coming up. Welcome back in. Final few minutes of our first hour. Ryan Brewer in the house. Jay and Elijah with you. Former Gamecock place kicker and longtime NFLer Ryan Suckup going to join us in the next hour. Looking forward to talking to Ryan. He spoke to the team recently. What did he have to say? And what else is he up to these days after, again, a terrific career in the National Football League? I made mention yesterday, Mr. Brewer, that I got no evidence to back this up. So this is just gut feeling of following college football for a long time that Eli Drinkwitz has been working on South Carolina's defense in the film room for a while. They didn't start Saturday after they beat Oklahoma. What do you think?
Yeah, probably. I mean, he's found a way. To have our number. I don't know how. He just has games that we should have won. There's some games that obviously they were better than us maybe last year, but there's some of the games we should have won. He finds a way. No matter what you feel about him, I hear the whole punch him in the face type stuff going all over. But however you feel about him, he finds a way to win ball games against us. He's 7-2 this year. They think they're really daggone good.
Yes.
They think they're in the playoff hunt. They think they can roll that Missouri helmet out.
What did he say? You heard me right. M-I-Z.
Yeah.
I didn't know they did that. Did you know that?
It's easy. But he's found a way, and that's the one thing that hurts. I think for us as Gamecock fans is there's times that I don't believe that they're a better team, but they found a way to win. And this is a time that we got to change that.
He's beaten Carolina 5 times in a row. In 4 of them, South Carolina was the more talented team. I'm convinced.
I'm with you. There's one year, maybe not, but he's a good coach.
He is,
and that's it's a true testament to what he's done. And he's found so with Burden, what he did to us last year, that crap can't happen again. He's their main focal point. One of their other Theo, or whoever the other receiver is. We can't have that happen. I think this is a completely different.
What's his
defense.
name? Weeks.
Theo Weiss.
Weiss.
Yeah, so I was close. But we got to stop that. This is one of these games. If I'm in the locker room type deals, I'm done with this crap, man.
Yeah.
It's time to man up, look yourself in the mirror, and say, look, this can't happen anymore. You're coming to our hometown, going to our stadium, and they better leave. This should be a no doubt game. Just when you go up, just keep going up and bury these guys.
All right, last week I asked you to channel your inner Lou Holtz, but today, even though you don't know him and didn't play for him, I am going to ask you to channel your inner Eli Drinkwitz a little bit and take all
I can't do that crap.
Take all those things you just said.
Or the dorkiest recesses of your mind.
Yeah.
How dorky can you get?
But what's
I can't do it.
What's he doing?
I would beat myself up if I do that.
Shove yourself in a locker.
Yeah. All right. Well, then just opposing coach. Then where are you? Where are you believing, and what are you telling your team in terms of South Carolina's biggest levels of vulnerability?
Defensively, you gotta win the line of scrimmage and try to force turnovers. Even though we've had one turnover with the quarterback in the last 2 games, I think they still think that they can get the ball out of his hands. And that's one. He's going to scramble. He's going to bounce off you, but it's got to be a group effort. Everyone's got to come in here, make tackles, and swing away. Swing away at the ball, try to get it out, try to make and get the momentum going in your favor in a very hostile environment. Offensively, you better bring your daggone lunch pail. You better be ready to work because this defense is coming at you at every angle, every moment. But there's still some times that we can, depending on what quarterback. And I think both their quarterbacks can run, but they can get away. They can get when they're bringing blitzes, keeping your eyes downfield, but also trying to find the positive yards when you get it. And keep the ball, because this is a team coming at you trying to they force more turnovers than anybody out there. They're going to try to scoop and score. They're going to pick six. They're going to do all that stuff. Don't give them that opportunity to do that, and that's harder said than done. I think with what we got our defense coming at them, but it's running the ball, trying to manage the clock type deal is ideal for an opposing team coming into an environment like this. It's just not ideal against our defense.
No. God, no. And you have to be like, if you're an offensive lineman too, you have to be on your P's and Q's the entire game. I don't know if you remember, if you noticed this during the strip sack of the Vanderbilt game. On the snap, the left tackle for a split second moves his head to look inside. I think he's anticipating a stunt or something like that. It's not long. But the second he turns his head back, Kyle Kennard is not in front of you anymore. Kyle Kennard at that point is behind you. Like it's a different level of focus.
I saw that. It was almost like he was trying to fake out Kennard, like hey, the play's going inside. It's almost like he did a quick jab step, look inside, and then I'm gonna come out to you. But the double team wasn't there because the guard went inside too, and it pinned him in. the technique was no reason for him to look inside
No.
unless he was trying to, like, I'm going to fake him out.
Because by the time he turns his head around, it's too late. Because then Kennard had a hand on the football at that
He's
point.
like, oh, that didn't work. So,
At all.
Yeah.
But yeah, coming into the game.
But yeah,
it's those
I couldn't
guys.
imagine being the left or right tackle of any team coming in here going, this is going to be a fun one. I'm going to prove that I'm an NFL caliber O lineman. Like that should be your mindset. That should be like, hey, I'm going to go out here. This guy thinks
It
he's
might
the
be
best.
for a minute or two, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're pumping yourself up. Like, I stick him a couple times, and I'm going to get his number early, which they both get stuck. I mean, Kyle got stuck a couple times. Stewart got hit right in the chest by, I think, the running back and, like, went down for a second.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. But the next play, they're going to get you. So it's like you can't take a play off. You can't take – so it's – but if your mentality is in the right spot, yeah, this is where I'm going to make a name for myself, and I'm going to show them that I'm one of the best tackles in the league because I'm going to block this guy who's supposed to be the best DN in the league. Well,
Good stuff.
Good luck.
Saturday, 4:15, all-day coverage, and again, plenty more throughout the week, getting you ready for it, including on the other side of the break, some sound from Coach Beamer, and again, in about a half hour's time, Ryan Suckup. That does it for this edition of Brews Day. RyanBrewer.net for all your fencing needs, wall art, and so much more, especially this time of year. Ryan21 Brewer to follow Brew on Twitter. Thanks, man.
Death and chaos. Bring the pain.
There you go. Good stuff. All right, hour 2 of the postgame show coming at you. You're looking for a reliable propane provider? Well, really nobody better than Palmetto Propane. They are your complete solution for home and business, and they've been doing it for more than 65 years. Exceptional service is what they provide, and you can count on them to do so many different things for you, from Rinnai tankless water heaters to commercial fuel services to run your business. Palmetto Propane delivers. They can create customized solutions just for you. And if you're interested in anything, especially from the residential side of things, stop in very soon to the Palmetto Propane Hearth and Patio Home Store showrooms. Premium brands of gas logs from folks like Real Fire, White Mountain Hearth, and of course, outdoors grills from Big Green Egg, Blaze, Wilmington, Tech, the ever-popular Traeger, so much more. They've got those stores for you in Aiken, West Columbia, Batesburg, Lexington, and Augusta. See and feel what the folks at Palmetto Propane can do for you and your family. Learn more at palmettopropane.com. 4 o'clock on this Tuesday afternoon. Welcome back in. Second hour of the postgame show coming at you from the Herndon Chevy Studios, downtown Columbia, South Carolina. Beautiful day in the capital city. Appreciate you being with us alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Thanks as always to Ryan Brewer. Again, Brews Day, and it's a Ryan pause day because Ryan Suckup will be with us later on. But again, earlier I said it so quickly that I didn't want somebody to go, wait, they're having Ryan Day on? We're not having Ohio State coach Ryan Day.
No, it's just a Ryan Day, no Buckeye.
Speaking of the Buckeyes, did you see that their fans are kind of whining, moaning, complaining about yet another noon kickoff? I thought that was the whole thing in the Big Ten.
So you'd think
Right?
that it would be the whole thing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, now all of a sudden it's not a thing. I mean, because they're tired of it.
I think they just want to get into the 21st century.
I was under the impression.
I think they want Fox to know that the stadiums have lights now.
I suppose that's it. But, I mean, you can't have it both ways if you're Big Ten fans, even if you're the mightiest program in the Big Ten. Yeah, I thought they wanted to kick at noon all the time. I was under the impression that's what they did. But anyway, they got a good one this weekend.
That's a big one.
So
that is the game of the week, wouldn't you say? In all college football.
Let's go over. Let's see here. Hold on. Let's see. I guess it's next week. Sorry, it's next week. Tennessee, Georgia. Yeah, it's next week.
It's
My
23rd,
bad. My
16th.
bad. My bad.
That's right.
Let's
Tennessee,
see.
Georgia is the game of the week this week.
This week, yeah, Tennessee, Georgia for sure. Yeah, Oregon at Wisconsin. I mean, I suppose there's a chance if Oregon doesn't play well.
Wisconsin's just not very good. The Luke Fickell thing, the 0 for 2.
Yeah, I don't know. They're missing that premier back. I think something.
And 2 straight years of a transfer portal quarterback getting hurt.
Yeah,
Not just not being very good, and then also being hurt. 2 things you don't want your transfer portal quarterback to be is not very good and hurt. He's 2 for 2 in that front.
Boston College has an opportunity in Dallas to kind of mess up the works for SMU. That would be something.
That could.
SMU minus
ACC
17.
could get really weird.
Yeah. Clemson is going to Pittsburgh, right?
Not an easy game, even though Pittsburgh's kind of on the fritz.
Yeah, help me out with this one, man. Clemson is giving Pittsburgh 10 points at Pitt.
Yeah, I think that it's a recency bias, too, just because they were bad against Virginia, got beat against Virginia, and they didn't just lose to SMU. That was a game that's supposed to be really evenly matched between the 2 surprises of the conference, and Pitt got handled. It wasn't just like they got beat by SMU. I mean, they got escorted out of that stadium by SMU.
Yeah, 48-25, and then last week, Pitt losing by 5 at home to UVA. That was a hangover effect. That was you let one beat you twice.
Certainly. And Pitt's offense is so much better this year than it was last year. Last year they were unwatchable. That's another an underrated turnaround. They were 3-9 last year, and this is a team now that can, if they pull off the upset against Clemson, they can go 10-2. More than likely they're going to finish 9-3, I believe. But a possible 3-9 to 9-3 season, and it's just kind of derailed because the vibes are a little off because they got beat by 2 conference opponents, one of which is not very
well.
good.
Again, losing last week that was bad. Clemson a 69.3% chance to win the ball game. But yeah, next week is the so my bad on that one. Next week is Indiana, Ohio State. Who's Indiana got this week? Let me find that out for you real fast.
Maybe they have a bye.
I think because they have
because they played 10 games.
They played 10 games.
They're 10-0.
Right, and
Indiana football is 10-0.
Obviously, their state rival is Purdue.
Who would have ever thought though that there will be a year that the old Oaken Bucket is played between one team with at least 10 wins and another team with only 1 win, and that team with 10 wins is Indiana, and the team with 1 win is Purdue.
Purdue is 0-6 in conference play. They also are off this weekend. They go to Michigan State.
They're the only team in the FBS that does not have a win against an FBS opponent.
Really? Yikes.
I believe. No, the only Power 4. Just kidding. The only Power 4
okay.
team that does not have a win against a Power 4 opponent.
Ugh. That's not good. What
I
happened
mean,
to Purdue, man? I know Braum was good, but I mean they've been good without him too.
Yeah, Ryan Walters came in, and now Ryan Walters, who was the defensive coordinator at Illinois before taking this job, has fired Graham Harrell, who was the OC, and is now, as a defensive guy, calling the plays, offense and defense.
Playing Madden.
Yeah, Ryan Walters is playing Madden right now with Purdue, and it just that's not a great idea. Call me crazy. I've never coached at this level, but I would assume that play calling duties on one side of the ball is strenuous enough. Doing it for both sides of the ball feels next to impossible, at least not to call both of them well.
Right. But anyway, Ohio State mad that all they're doing is kicking at noon, and I thought the whole time
that was their whole shtick.
I thought that was the whole thing, but I guess not. 803-404-6100. Before we hear from Shane, let's get on the phone lines. Bill is going to start us off today. Hey, Bill, how are you?
I am doing well. How you doing, Jay and Elijah?
We're doing fine.
Doing great.
Thank you, sir.
Good. I got just a couple quick things. Number one that I got to say, and I love Brew, by the way. I am so stoked. I mean, about the rest of the year. I feel like our boys are playing so well. I mean, in all three phases of the game.
Yep.
And the coaching staff is really calling great games. I mean, and beat Dorkowitz. That's got to beat him.
We got to put those on the stickers. Instead of beat Mizzou, put beat Dorkwitz on the stickers that we pass out on game days. I got to call Scott from Gamecock Tradition, see if we can pull that off before Saturday.
Elijah, I'll buy a pin that says it. Real quick, and y'all can answer this offline. I got something for Jay. Some terms that are used now that I don't know when they came into play, because I'm an old guy. I'm older than you, Jay. Rooms. We never had rooms before. There was no linebacker rooms, no quarterback rooms, no.
Oh, okay.
It was our quarterbacks, it was our linebackers, it was et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
It just seems divisive to me. Line to gain. It used to be the first down marker.
Okay, all right.
I don't know where lines to gain came. And plus territory. We're in their territory is the way it used to be. We're on the Clemson 40, et cetera. All right. Now, Jay, this is for you. I got something real quick, and the last little bit might make you a little jealous.
Uh-oh.
I was really pulling for your Broncos. I want you to know that.
Thank you.
Now, it's not that I'm a big Bronco fan, but I've seen them a bunch of times in Denver, actually.
Cool.
And that's the part that's going to get you.
Yep.
But the reason I was pulling for him is I'm a Miami Dolphin fan, and you can figure out why. I need my 72 Dolphins to pop the champagne.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, I was going to say you're a Dolphin fan and you just don't want Denver to creep into any kind of wild card spot and hope that Miami can catch up. But now I see the larger picture of all that. Yeah.
Two birds, one stone in that game.
Yeah.
I started pulling for them in 71. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Lastly, how many times have you been to Mile High Stadium?
I never have. But trust me, it is a bucket list thing. And for my love of them, I have there's been a couple of times when I maybe could have worked it out, but for so many years, especially with what I do, I couldn't travel during football season, and the last few years I've pulled away from the Gamecock Network, but it's mostly to travel and see my children. So believe me, I'm going to do it. In fact, we came. My wife and I we had preliminary plans for a game this season, just couldn't quite put it all together. But it is coming soon. Yeah.
Well, I was in the Air Force from 80 to 84. I was stationed in Cheyenne, Wyoming, which is a little over 100 miles north and probably 200 feet higher than the Mile High. It's uphill to Cheyenne.
Right.
But we had a party bus, and if we were off duty, we were offered these incredibly discounted tickets, and we would ride that party bus down to Mile High if you were off duty. I did it every time I was off duty on game day, from 80 to 84. So I've been to Mile High tons of times, and I always pulled for him because I was right there.
Yeah.
I was living
How many
right
times?
there.
How many times could you not get off the bus?
Well, we were an Air Force bus, and it said United States Air Force on the side.
It don't mean you couldn't get
and
off
they
the bus.
allowed us.
Hey.
Yeah, we got off, and they allowed us to bring our coolers down, and we drank all the way down to the stadium.
Yeah.
And we had our tailgating gear, and we got there about 2.5 hours before the game every time, and it was a great experience.
Well, that sounds fun, man. I will get out there. In fact, Sonny was in Denver not too long ago. And again, she sent me a picture of what she just thought was the Rocky Mountains from her hotel room, and the stadium was right there. And I said, "Go Broncos," and she didn't even realize. She's like, "Oh, I just looked at the mountains." So, but we'll get there soon. Bill, good phone call. We'll answer those other questions for you. Thank you, sir. Don't be a stranger. Rooms, line to gain, plus territory. I don't. They've become part of the vernacular. Plus territory feels like more of a coaching terminology, I think, more than a
like a shortcut, like a verbiage shortcut, instead of saying like we're
But I
on
imagine
the so and so 20. Just, you want to get in plus territory. It's more of a vague thing too. Like when you say like we're on Vanderbilt's 13-yard line. That's very specific. When you just talk about making plays on the other side of the field, just want to make plays in plus territory, get the ball into plus territory. I think it's more of just like a generalization term for a positive part of the field.
Line to gain may also be in that similar vein of just a way to just that's what you're going for.
I prefer to use the sticks.
Yeah, I was going to say,
cooler.
I mean, you move the chains or, but.
Throwing the ball short of the sticks, beyond the sticks.
Yeah. And then rooms, I feel like that one's maybe in the last 10 or 15 years has really become more commonplace. It's probably been there longer than that.
Yeah, I've always heard that one, at least for me specifically.
And
I've heard that one.
I get his point when he says like it feels like it might be a little divisive. It's just look, you have your break, just like any organization. You've got your core, you've got your entire team. And they'll have the big meeting somewhere, but then you have your breakout sessions, and that's where that comes from. And even then, you have your quarterback room, your receiver room, your O-line room, but then they get together for an offensive meeting. Mm-hmm. And then the same thing on the other side. You got your D-line room, even have your edge guys and your interior guys, then your linebackers, and then, you might even, I don't know how many schools have like safeties and corners and nickels meeting separately, but they may from time to time. They do have different roles, and then they all get together too. So I wouldn't sweat that it's divisive, but
more coaching very specific elements of the game.
I think that's what it is more than anything, is that how much we hear from coaches and how much they use those terms and then ultimately feed into both how the teams are reported on through beat writers, et cetera. And even then, today's analysts, so many of them are probably in their 30s and 40s and have grown up with that as part of their football vernacular and then take that to television or radio as well. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, good questions. And, yeah, man, the party bus from Cheyenne to Denver, I'm down with that.
That sounds like fun.
Again, I
would do that.
You might not, that's what I say. You might not get off the bus sometimes. 100-mile trek.
I can do a lot of drinking in 100 miles.
Bunch of airmen and coolers on a day off.
Yeah. I could put up some numbers on that bus.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll hear from Shane on the other side of the break. Ryan Suckup coming up in about 15, 20 minutes as well. You're listening to the Postgame Show.
What a fantastic time of the year. Basketball season has started. Football season in full swing. We're getting playoff push in professional football. You're about to start seeing the in the hunt part on the playoff graphics here real soon, which means you know it's getting real. Hockey's already started as well. I'm a big hockey fan, and I'm able to cash in on my knowledge of all of these, just like you can. My friends over at Prize Picks. Look, tonight I'm all in on Jalen Brunson going more than 25.5 points and Jason Tatum going more than 28.5 points, specifically because Boston plays Atlanta, and they don't play much defense. But you can use that same type of logic and make yourself money by just picking more or less on at least 2 players for 2 different teams to win a shot for up to 100 times your cash. Just go ahead, download the Prize Picks app today. Use promo code 1075GAME, and you'll get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
Twenty minutes after 4 o'clock on this Tuesday afternoon. Welcome back into the postgame show. Jay and Elijah with you. Ryan Suckup coming up in just a little bit. Looking forward to talking to the former Gamecock and a longtime NFL kicker. Played for a couple of teams at the next level. He did all right.
Did pretty good. Won him a Super Bowl.
Steve Spurrier was a big fan of old Ryan Suckup.
It was automatic.
Yeah. He was good, man. Ryan's a big dude, too.
Yeah.
You know, I think we always
A lot of power in that leg.
always think of kickers as like, little guys. And Ryan Suckup.
You think of them as like soccer players. He was not built like a soccer player.
How about Lionel Messi going down to Atlanta? And that wasn't supposed to happen. They're out of the playoffs in MLS.
Oh, I missed that.
That was not supposed to hahappen. Atlanta
I'm sure
was
MLS is not very happy.
Atlanta was the night. Yeah, Don Garber is calling Arthur Blank right now, going. And you may say to yourself, Jay, why isn't he calling David Beckham, the owner of Miami, and saying that they should have beaten Atlanta? Because you can't do that.
No.
Well, why don't you just call
David
Messi?
Beckham's probably busy just doing all the things that David Beckham does.
Or call Messi and go, dude, we brought you here to win this thing.
Yeah, what the hell, man? We want you in the MLS Cup. What's going on?
You do actually have to. I was. They looked tired. It was a best of 3 round too. You shouldn't do that in soccer.
No.
MLS though, I mean, listen,
They've done a lot of things wrong.
they have, and you talk about ways to generate revenue, and that's what they're doing. Especially if Messi's playing, and you can sell 3 games worth of tickets instead of 1. I get it, but this may be there is a downside. As much as you may not be expecting it, and you just saw it happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they need to revamp a few things, but Lionel Messi out in the first round of
Yikes.
the MLS playoffs. Yeah, that was not supposed to happen. Let's get into some sound from Coach Shane Beamer. We got a lot of good ones here today too. You want to give us a quick assessment of today, because the last couple of weeks, I feel like, and I mean this in a good way now, Shane has been, he's been in a good mood. He was in a good mood today. But am I right in sensing that maybe today was a touch or two more business-like than what we've seen the last couple of weeks? Would that be fair?
I think so. Maybe not as loose as previous weeks. What that means, I have no idea, because I would feel pretty loose after what I did to Vanderbilt and what this Missouri team looks like coming into this game, where they're hobbling into it, and it took a miracle for them to beat Oklahoma. But yeah, I mean, I would say it was more businesslike. Not saying he's like concerned, but it was just not as loose as the last few weeks.
Well, let's start then. Here's Shane on just kind of dealing with some of those outside influences now that you're into the home stretch and expected to do bigger things.
Yeah, don't listen to it. It's easier said than done. Let's be real. The last time we got ranked, we didn't play worth a crap the next week, and I would hope that a lot of our guys remember that. And I'm not saying that it was because we sat around patting ourselves on the back because we were ranked, but we need to make sure that we focus on what's important, and what's important is preparing to play a really physical and good Missouri team. So we talked about it this morning. I mean, we weren't listening and being motivated by anything before, and we shouldn't be doing it now as well. Let's worry about what we can control. But I realize that we only have them for 4 hours a day in this building. So the other 20 hours, everybody on campus. So everybody on campus, please don't be patting them on the back and telling them how amazing they are right now. Please don't be talking about rankings and bowl games and everything else. Let's talk about Missouri. But the other 20 hours that they're outside this building, they've got people telling them how great they are right now. But we've got a mature group. They're very hungry, and nobody's goal was to win 6 wins or win 6 games and be in the top 25. We all had higher expectations going into the season as well. No one else did. I realize that, but this group had very high expectations for themselves going into 2024. It's good to see that we've been able to accomplish a lot of things already, but there's still a lot more for us to accomplish. But we can't take a step back this week either with not performing and playing well.
I don't know who the player will be. Guys that have been around a little bit, Alex Huntley, T.J. Sanders, Tonka Hemingway, some guys like that, O.D. Fortune. Not a bunch of guys really on the offense. I would think Rashawn Lee's been around a little bit. But the point I'm getting ready to make here, Elijah, is which veteran leaders that have been around for a while and know that there's a couple of games they've been a part of here at Carolina where Missouri beat them and they shouldn't have. Like, you got to stress that this week. And that's why I asked you, is there a feeling of being more businesslike? Look, you want to be loose and have fun. And I'm all for that. We talked about confidence and joy yesterday, right? Shane's two buzzwords from very early in his tenure in terms of what needed to change more than anything else around the program. But with the level of success they're enjoying right now comes both a responsibility and an increase in expectation. And you and I are here again to talk about some of those things, as are many, many, many others. But now, just to remind y'all, and again, I'll be careful in how I say these things, but this isn't me, The Athletic today, in their bowl projection article. Now believes South Carolina will go 9-3. Well, y'all know what that means. So I don't have to say anything else. But y'all know what that means. So how does this team carry, I don't want to say carry that burden, but how do they shift their own expectation? And are there veteran leaders? I mean, look, Rocket Sanders has been around football a long time, right? Kyle Kennard's been around football a long time. They hadn't been in Columbia. They hadn't been here. And so I'll be curious to hear what it's like internally in terms of making certain that from a program perspective, you go win this football game. This does a lot of things for you if you win this football game. First and foremost, it may exercise the demons that are the Missouri Tigers and Eli Drinkowitz for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. But it does a lot more beyond that, too.
And one thing I've kind of gathered just from how these players talk after games, after wins, after losses, it's pretty similar, right? I think this is a veteran team old enough to understand that they have their own standard of what they do that is entirely independent of what anybody else outside of that room says or thinks, right? It's funny, Debo Williams still mentions wanting to put up donuts on the scoreboard defensively, and they were so close. They were one Diego Pavia miracle scramble away from being able to do that. They only gave up a touchdown, and he says there's some things in this game that we didn't do very well that we're not satisfied with. I think just that having that type of standard is what's going to keep them from being prone to a slip-up, right? I think this team mentally is strong enough to avoid that. I think the more we get removed from the Ole Miss game, to me, it just feels more like Ole Miss that day was just so much better than you. And that's the only game which anyone's really just taken, a hammer to them all season, right? Last year, it happened several times where you had a hammer taken to you, especially against this Missouri team. So a lot of the older guys in this room understand what they're capable of, but they also understand that their standard is so significantly different than what anybody on the outside has, whether that's being 9-3, winning that last game of the year against the team in the upstate, and being able to go to a bowl game on New Year's Day or flirt with being in the college football playoff picture. I think all of that is kind of irrelevant to them because they have a pretty set standard that they are trying to hold themselves to, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Lots more from Shane throughout the course of the afternoon, but on the other side of the break, one of the better former Gamecock special teamers of all time, the great Ryan Suckup, going to join us. He spoke to the team recently about motivating them and what matters in life with and without football. We'll hear from Ryan on a whole bunch of things when the postgame show returns.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to get to, they're causing some issues on the roadways. We do have a disabled vehicle, though, creating a right lane blockage on 20 East near exit 61. Some more minor accidents, or minor traffic backups, rather, include accidents that are reported on Green Lawn Drive at Garners Ferry Road, Highway 6 at US 378 and Sunset Boulevard, Main Street near College Street, Marshall Street between Colonial Drive and West Street, Maxey Road near Pisgah Church Road, Sparkleberry Lane at Grace's Way, Broad River Road at I-20, US 378 near Old Eastover Road, and lastly, one on Woodrow Street at US 76 in Broad River Road.
Talking a lot of Gamecock football ahead of Saturday afternoon/evening's game with the Missouri Tigers. As Shane said in the press conference today, by halftime, it'll be dark. You'll have that vibe going on at Williams-Brice Stadium as the Gamecocks close out SEC play, looking to have another winning record in conference play. As we said, a lot on the line this weekend for South Carolina. It's great to talk to Ryan Suckup, the former Gamecock great and long-time NFLer. Spoke to the team on Friday night ahead of the matchup with Vandy, and we appreciate Ryan's time here this afternoon. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing well, guys. Thanks for having me on. How y'all doing?
Doing great, and this team is obviously rolling right along right now. Tell me, we've been privy to just a clip or two of what you said to the ball club on Friday night, but kind of take us into how it came together and what more you are looking at when you see not just this particular version of the football team, Ryan, but what you see in the bigger context of what Shane wants to do here.
Yeah, I mean, it was really special for me to get to kind of go back and see the guys on Friday. You know, we live here in Nashville. My family's here in Nashville, and so anytime the Gamecocks are in town, we definitely try to make it over and go see them play, whether it's a football game or a SEC basketball tournament game, whatever it may be. So it's always great, being able to see the guys play and have an opportunity to speak to the team on Friday. That was really generous of Shane to allow me to come out and share a few words. And honestly, I'll keep most of it in-house, but, the net of it was just that, hey, I wanted to just share some things that I learned along the way and really what it means to me to play at that university, to play at South Carolina. I think it's something that one of the things I talked about was gratitude and, grateful for my opportunity at that university, grateful to get to play in front of, so many passionate fans. And, I just wanted to put things in perspective for some of those guys. Like it's a special time of their lives. And after going through that, getting to, play 4 years for the university and then go on and play the next, 14 in the NFL, I just kind of wanted to impart some wisdom and maybe put things in perspective so they could kind of just embrace, how special of a time this is in their lives and in this football team's life. This season, their life is just a special time for them.
Well, we can all attest. College goes quick, even whether you played football or not. So it moves on fast. I'm curious too, Ryan, and I'm serious about this. I would say it with a smile on my face, but you were on the squad when Shane was an assistant coach for a couple of seasons. What do you remember as a player, especially a guy where Shane might have been working with some special teams things, and just knowing what you knew of him then as it applies to now?
Yeah, and that was actually one of the things that I brought up to the guys is that, I was fortunate to get to play for a long time and play for a lot of coaches that had a really positive impact on me. And, but at the same time, I've also kind of seen things for what they are a little bit. And, there's very few coaches that, genuinely care about not only the university, not only the football team, but also really care about each and every player on that team as a man, as a player, helping them to develop. And Shane is one of those guys. I got to see that firsthand, and that was part of when I was mentioning gratitude at the beginning. That's kind of what I was hitting on is just being grateful for people like that, that have poured into you, that care about you, that want to make you, the best player that you can be, but also, truly love you as a person and help you grow as a man. And that's who Shane Beamer is. And so, that's something that I saw it firsthand, and I know that these guys are experiencing it as well, which is pretty cool. And it's the thing that's special about it is it's not always like that. It's not like that everywhere. And so kind of being able to see that and really appreciate what's in front of you is something that I wanted those guys to understand, and I think they certainly do.
Ryan Suckup on the line with us right now. And Ryan, I mean, you've seen a lot of great defenses in your time in the NFL. Shoot, when you won your Super Bowl, that Buccaneers defense was pretty nasty itself. And when you watch this South Carolina team, to me, I thought about this morning, a little bit of similarities in terms of being a complete defense. You have really good run-stopping linebackers, some monsters on the edge, players in the secondary who can make plays, and it's all very complementary of each other. But you saw that team up close. You got to see this team up close on Saturday and interact with some of the players yourself. But are there any similarities to you when you look at that Super Bowl winning defense and then you see what this team is doing on the defensive side of the ball on Saturday?
Yeah, I think we're in a world where so much is talking about the other side of the ball, and so much is talks about the offense. And at the end of the day, one of the things that I've always believed is that defense travels. So games on the road in the SEC in loud environments, it's always great to have a really great defense, and it's the same way in the NFL. The way they're playing, just watching that game. I'm sitting there watching it with my wife and my kids on Saturday, and you just kind of look watching it, and you're like, man, it's completely covered up. I mean, Vanderbilt, has a heck of a quarterback, and he did everything he could, and there just weren't many opportunities there, and that speaks to a defense that's playing together as a unit. Obviously, you've got talented players across the board. But it takes more than just talented players. And so they are a fun unit to watch, and I'm looking forward to seeing them play here these next 3 games and hopefully more.
Ryan, I said before we brought you on, not to embarrass you, but, Steve Spurrier was a big fan of yours, as you, I'm sure, do know, whether you talk about that kind of thing a lot. I'm curious if you ever get to talk with Coach, maybe get on the golf course at some point. How often do you get to catch up with him?
Yeah, great question. Not a ton. I did get we did play out in the, this was years ago. We did play out in the American Century Tournament out in Lake Tahoe, a while back. And that was fun getting to catch up with him and play on the course. He had his whole family out there, and, that stuff like that's special. But, see him from time to time, obviously, loved getting to play for him. People ask all the time, what was it like playing for Coach Spurrier? And I just have very fond memories of that. He would you knew exactly where you stood with him. He called it like he saw it. And I really respect that. I thought it was awesome, and it was something that was really cool to get the opportunity to do.
I got to play 18 holes with him one time, and I had a really long downhill putt, and he was convinced. He was standing on the bottom of the green. I'm up at the top getting ready to putt. And he nudges a guy next to it, and he's like, watch this. He's going to run it right past. And I put it within about, 8 inches of the hole. And I was like, come on, Coach. I know what I'm doing here. I know it runs downhill. And he's like, all right, my man. So he the point is he didn't mind me hearing it, too. Maybe it was motivation, Ryan. Did he ever do that when he was near you for a kick? Like, all right, now, he's going to miss it wide here. You realize that. And then you nail it right down the middle?
Oh, he loved. He used to come out before practice. I still remember this. He would come out. We would kick at the beginning of practice, and so we'd be out there warming up before everybody else would get out there. And he would always come out there, especially before it got cold, and he would, there'd be no media out there yet. There's nobody out there, just be us kicking. And he'd come out there with his shirt off because he wanted to get a little sun. Right. And he would sit there and stand behind us and try to distract us while we were kicking field goals. So he'd always be back there chirping, and he just loved it. And if he ever got you to miss one, he would just sit there and have a little cackle, kind of chuckle to himself. And I just kind of look back on that, just thinking how funny that was, seeing Coach out there with his shirt off in September. Yeah,
I actually told I saw Steve Spurrier with his shirt off story a couple of days ago too. And cackle is the right word, Ryan. That's what he did. Yes, cackling. Ryan Suckup with us here on 107.5 The Game.
Oh man, and which I can imagine kicking in front of a shirtless Steve Spurrier while he's trash talking you is arguably like a hostile environment, or can be considered one in itself. But I mean, in all seriousness, Ryan, you played at Willie B. The last time they played in that stadium against A&M is the loudest I heard it, and when I went back and watched it on the TV copy, you almost couldn't hear the play-by-play. And the TV commentary because it was just so loud. I almost didn't realize how loud it was until I went back and watched the game on TV. But what was kind of your experience like playing there in front of a packed house? What kind of separates that from maybe a lot of other places that you've gotten to play in your career?
Yeah, that A&M game was special. It actually was awesome for us. My wife and I, some of our closest friends here in town, actually the guy that I played with the Titans, but he was he played quarterback at Texas A&M, and so they were actually over at the house watching it, and we had our kids running around, and we were kind of out on the back porch, and kids running around, threw something on the grill, and it was just kind of nice to be able to be very proud of our school last Saturday night and the way that we played. That was a little bit of extra sweetness with with some of our friendships. So that was special. And then as far as playing in Williams-Brice, I mean, that place is unbelievable. The fan base is special. The student section. I mean, I still watch. My 9-year-old, he loves football, and like all he wants to see is like, Dad, show me videos of them running out at Williams-Brice to 2001, or show me videos of the student section. I mean, it really is a cool place, and I can't wait to see it get going again on this Saturday.
Ryan, we'll get you out of here on this. You were drafted for and played for the Chiefs for many years. You won the Super Bowl in Tampa, and you played for the Titans a long time. And as you've just said, you make your home in Music City. So do you pull for all three of those franchises? Is there one above another, especially what the Chiefs are doing? Or how does Ryan Succop cheer on a Sunday these days?
Well, I'm really just trying to help my 9-year-old with his fantasy football team. So that's the biggest thing. He's got a little flag football team, and he's got about 10 of his buddies that play fantasy football. So we're kind of more just cheering for the guys right now than we are, individual teams, so to say. But in all seriousness, man, I had special memories from all three of those organizations. They're all special for different reasons, and it's fun keeping up with them, watching them. But I think, right now, a lot of times when I turn a game on, fortunately, I'm still fresh enough now to where I know guys on pretty much every team. And so you're kind of just pulling for your buddies. You're pulling for your buddies to do well. Don't know that I really get caught up in, whether the Chiefs win or lose on a Sunday, or the Titans or the Bucks. That doesn't really affect me one way or the other, but I just like to see my buddies do well.
How many people ask you if you know Taylor Swift?
Don't get that question very often.
Okay. I know it was a long time ago, so when you were there, but it just
you, Jay. That's just you.
Yeah, since you were a Chief, I just figured that was like a natural progression of things. So we'll see.
Yeah. I did play with I played with Travis 1 year. I think we crossed paths 1 year, and then he was I think it was his rookie year. And then I was in Tennessee after that. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, we appreciate you. Again, good stuff, what you did last Friday night. I know the guys enjoyed it from what I've been told, so we appreciate it. Let's do it again sometime, man. Best of luck moving forward.
All right, that sounds great. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate you. That is Ryan Succop, the former Gamecock great and longtime NFLer. He made 320 field goals. He scored, I just looked it up here.
That's a lot.
1,430 points in his career, man.
That's a lot of points.
He did all right.
Yeah, pretty good. Won him a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he did all right. Lots more to do as the postgame show rolls on. Welcome back into the postgame show. Coming up in our final hour, about 10 minutes from now, headlines of the day. More from Shane throughout the first half hour. Drive around the SEC as well. And probably here in just a little bit. I'm not sure exactly. Shortly. We're going to give you tickets to see the number one Gamecock women's basketball team in action on Thursday against Coppin State, as they try to exact revenge on that 97 men's basketball tournament loss.
That's right. It will heal you. Whenever Dawn's team beats them by 100, it is going to heal the memory, I'm sure. The school names that in this town that are completely, I don't want to say are relevant nationally in most sports, like Coppin State, Navy. I'm trying to think if there are any others. Lafayette. Huh.
Those hurt.
Those are the big 3 different sports too.
Yep.
Oh, those I would trying to think if there's a one historically for the women's basketball team to get all 4.
Yeah, because losing to Stanford and Iowa, that's not really. There's no shame in that.
There's not. No. Because they're all nationally relevant programs, especially in the last 5 years.
It hurt. Both of them hurt.
Yes.
But that's Stanford and, Stanford is Stanford in women's basketball. But then,
yes.
Caitlin's Iowa.
Well, you lost to the all-time winningest coach in the history of the sport and the all-time leading scorer in the history of the sport.
Yeah, there's no shame. Yeah, there's no shame.
But Coppin State, Navy, Lafayette.
Yeah. And the Richmond lost the next year, but Richmond at least had done it to Syracuse a few years prior. So South Carolina wasn't the first.
That one wasn't as bad. Richmond also proud basketball program.
Yeah, it was still bad, but it wasn't as bad. No,
I knew when you were reading the promo and discussing who they were going to be playing this week, I knew exactly where your brain would go.
I tried to speak some healing into existence.
It
know
won't
what?
happen.
Yeah, it did.
It won't.
It did.
I think that scar is
and football. I've said before, football has had some painful losses. I've been at a few of them, but I don't know that any are of the magnitude that we just discussed. Yeah. Navy. I wasn't at that Navy game, and Navy. Look, who knows if you beat Navy, do you beat Clemson? I don't know. You want to think, all we had to do was beat Navy. And another painful loss that season was the one I did go to the Gator Bowl. And Carolina lost in the last minute. Rusty Hilger, the Oklahoma State quarterback. And again, Chris Wade dropping a wide open touchdown pass. Right in the breadbasket, man.
You're never going to forget it.
I don't. I can still see it. And I could still see Oklahoma State coming down the other sideline to win the football game because that was right across from me. We were on about the 20-yard line. And 14-year-old Jay Phillips I had crutches. I had gotten hurt in PE of all things. The last day of PE, Christmas break.
Classic.
A classmate of mine, Jason Moore, and I can still remember, we're playing indoor soccer, just basically killing time on the last day of class. In December, right? Indoor soccer. The indoor soccer ball, like a big giant tennis ball. I can still see this. I'm trying to sweep the ball out defensively. Jason's coming in trying to score. We both missed the ball because neither one of us were any good at soccer. Jason kicks me right on the foot as my foot is pointed down. I broke 4 toes, fractured my big toe, and had a hairline fracture running up my foot. I was on crutches in Jacksonville for the Gator Bowl. I was on the whole Christmas break, I was basically on crutches. I was hobbling up the steps to go to the Gator Bowl. I was at least they could win for me, man.
I love how this has gone from emotionally painful memories to physical pain. And emotionally painful memories, too.
So, I don't know I don't want to bring that out. Look, sometimes it's therapeutic for us as folks who have supported South Carolina our entire lives to remember those games and commiserate. I don't know. And I'm not even if I could think of one, I'm probably not going to say what it is. But I'm trying. I don't know what the most painful loss I've attended is. That Gator Bowl one does stick out. It really does. Because not that they would have won a championship that year, but that one sticks out. I didn't
different
go,
level of hurt.
I didn't go to the Miami game. Some buddies of mine went to the Miami game in '87. And that Miami team won a title, and Carolina lost by 4.
Oof.
They were good, man. Just didn't quite get it done. That was a big one. All right, there's that. We'll give you some tickets in the next hour. Headlines of the day. Got some Atlanta Braves breaking news, too. Be right back. Holidays are upon us, family and friends coming to the house, and you have you looking around going, man, this kitchen is not ready for a bunch of people. Or, man, that guest bathroom needs some work. And you're saying, I don't want to pay for that right now. Well, there's good news. You got some equity in the house, been there a while, love it. Time to take advantage of a Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union home equity line of credit. That's right. After you get settled in, you can access that line of credit over a 10-year draw period. And that way you can get that kitchen done now, maybe wait for the bathroom just a little bit, do them both. Maybe you want to take a big trip. Maybe you got other plans and tap into that equity. And you can do it for lower fees and lower rates than you'll get with the big bank. Because at federal credit unions like Palmetto Citizens, they're not for profit. They can help you out with that, too. My wife and I are members. We love the service we get from Palmetto Citizens. We think you will, too. 14 area locations, and you can apply online for many of the things that do all your banking needs. Check them out right now at palmettocitizens.org.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. A few accidents to get to that are causing some issues on the roadways, but we'll start off with some good news. That good news is that the incident on 20 eastbound over near exit 61 and US 378 has been cleared, so traffic moving much more smoothly through 20 east. Still have some more active accidents causing some active traffic backups, including US 378 near Old Eastover Road, one on Sparkleberry Lane at Grace's Way near Spring Valley High School, one on Maxey Road near Pisgah Church Road, another one on Marshall Street between Colonial Drive and West Street, and lastly in Lexington County, got one on Highway 6 at US 378 and Sunset Boulevard.
It is 5 o'clock news time on a Tuesday afternoon. Welcome back in. Also, the final hour of the postgame show, along with Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Appreciate you being with us. Let's jump right in. Shane Beamer holding his weekly press conference as South Carolina gets ready to host the Missouri Tigers this weekend. This line opened on Sunday at 14 points, dipped down as low as 11 yesterday, but is now back up to 12. The over-under is currently at 44.5. So South Carolina seem as a heavy favorite in what projects to be, at least if you look at the over-under number, a defensive battle. And some of Missouri's defensive stats would say the same thing here, Elijah. Make no mistake, South Carolina's defense will have to continue to lead the way if it is to finish very strong, especially to finish first off 5-3 in conference play.
Yeah, and this is the game to do it. This is somehow we're at the last SEC game of the season. It feels like the season is just completely flown by.
Yeah, that's the thing for the Gamecocks and Georgia both, Kentucky as well. They end the conference slate a little bit earlier because obviously and Florida because the big rivalry game is out of conference at the end of the year. Maybe that changes down the road. I don't think it's going to.
No, shouldn't.
But you never know. In the meantime, Shane speaking today, he was asked, look, you've been playing well since the last bye week here. What went right for you?
I think it's a little bit of everything. You look at the bye week and you say, okay, where are we struggling and why? How can we coach it better maybe? You look at what's not working and maybe let's do a little bit less of this. You look at, what's next, or there's some schematic things that we could do that we're not doing that could help us. So we did all that during the bye week, and I think it's a little bit of that for sure, but I think it's a lot of it just experience. Rocket continuing to get healthier and more in the flow. Lenoris, we've done a little bit more maybe called, not that we didn't call quarterback runs before, but probably a little bit more just called quarterback runs where there really isn't a read necessarily. It's you're going to carry the ball. We've done a little bit of that the last couple of weeks as well. And I think, I know y'all don't want to hear it, but it's true. We've got a lot of young faces that were playing on our offense early in the season, and we knew they would get better. And, people had the pitchforks out after the Old Dominion game, but we had a redshirt freshman quarterback. We had a true freshman left tackle. We had a true freshman wide receiver. We had a true freshman tight end, and then a bunch of new transfers around them that weren't here last year and some that weren't even here for spring practice. So you want it to look amazing from the get-go, but it doesn't always work that way. Our guys just continued to work and get better each week and have done some really good things. And we've done a better job too. You look better statistically when you don't turn the ball over and you don't when you go 9 of 12 on third down. That allows you to be on the field a lot more, and those stats are going to go up when you play more plays too.
He's right. Pitchforks and all that. I think that carried through even to Lenoris's mistakes at the end of the Alabama game, where people just, if they'd put him in a better spot, he wouldn't be. And I get those criticisms and concerns, but I do think a lot of times, fans in sports, all right, this is not directed at the specific fan base that is the primary makeup of our audience, but in general, you set an ideal for I just want my team to win, and that's perfectly acceptable, but you got to take certain things into context, and that's why I said to Ryan Brewer a little bit earlier too, maybe in those pitchfork moments back in September into October, there was a lot of folks riding Dowell pretty hard. And I haven't heard as much from them, not because they're not, there's no negativity really to talk about when you've now won your last 3 games by 71 points.
When you're clubbing teams, you're not just beating them, you're beating the tar off.
So I get it, but I think he deserves a lot of praise too for being able to bring this group along. Don't ask him to do too much. We saw 2 years ago under Marcus Satterfield. That doesn't work. Here's the whole playbook. Now go do it. Well, no. And you have to pare it down in the middle of the season. This year, as Ryan Brewer pointed out to us in the 3 o'clock hour, now you've got that solid foundation. Now you can add that wrinkle here or there. Even though Ryan said he doesn't like the term eye candy, it allows Dowell, and he talks about it, it allows him to add more of that in, because the intricacies of doing that, you've got to sell it. And so guys need to know that part of it too. And then when it's not coming their way and they know that, what are you going to do without the football? You know, you saw some penalties earlier in the season for guys downfield, both receivers and linemen, and just little things here and there. And you're not seeing nearly as much of that anymore. That's growth, and it takes time, whether it's literally young players who haven't played much college football or guys that are new to your system. Fans don't like to hear it, but sometimes you just got to realize it's the truth.
Well, and sometimes just rounding out your fundamentals makes a huge difference too. Look, before, I remember playing basketball. When I was getting into high school, I remember my dad telling me all the time, well, before you try to throw that behind the back pass, make sure you can dribble with your head up. Right. Before you try a bunch of different stuff on the football field, make sure you can block. And if you just look at the last 2 games specifically, between A&M and Vanderbilt, this offensive line has played so well, especially when it comes to run blocking. Pass blocking, I mean, there's still some issues there, sure. I mean, you can't let off the hook completely, but you have to hand it to them that the run blocking unit has gotten significantly better. That's how you're able to open up the holes for someone like Rocket Sanders, who will take what you give him and make the most out of it. There's a reason he was making the most out of 3-yard runs. He's making, at one point this year, you could say that man worked harder for a 3-yard run than any running back in America.
Right.
That's not the case anymore. He scampered for 100+ yards these last 2 games, and he's doing so because the blocking has gotten so much better. On the screen pass, I'll allude to that one again. That might be one of my favorite plays all year, was the touchdown on the screen pass for Rocket, where every single player that was not Rocket Sanders or Lenora Sellers had a hand on somebody, and they actually blocked somebody out of the way. It was one of the more well-blocked screen plays you will see all year. That's not fancy. That's not some sexy play design. That's fundamental. That's doing the things that you're taught to do in football. You're doing the basics. You're doing things at a high level, even if they are more basic and not as complex. Before you're able to even open up a playbook and be more creative than anybody else, you kind of have to do the fundamental things first. It's not a coincidence that you watch Texas play on a week-to-week basis, and you're like, oh my God, that's the coolest play design. Like the thing against Florida the other day, where it felt like Quinn Ewers was about to get vertigo from turning around and faking off handoffs before finally giving it to Isaiah Bond before he had a 20-yard gain. You can't do that if no one's blocking, right?
Right.
But they have one of the best offensive lines in college football, which allows you the luxury to get super creative with your offensive play design and your play calling. It allows you to get cute in situations like that, right? You got to do the fundamental stuff first. And I think now that we're seeing this offensive line and this offense do the fundamental stuff first, now you're getting ready to see exactly what this offense's ceiling can be as we're getting into these final 3 games.
We'll have more from Shane coming up for you in our 5:15 segment here. Keep it on the game for that, plus more in the drive around the SEC. Let me continue with our integrated media headlines of the day right now. The Atlanta Braves did a couple of days ago decline the 1-year, $8 million option on catcher Travis d'Arnaud. And today, the Braves said goodbye to Travis as he and the LA Angels agreed to a 2-year, $12 million contract. So Travis d'Arnaud will be packing up and moving to the left coast. He'll be the backup to Logan O'Hoppe, the 24-year-old who had 20 homers and looks to be the catcher of the future for the Angels. So there was discussion, Elijah, that once the market settled out a little bit, that the Braves would sit down with Travis and look to keep him. They just weren't going to pay him $8 million to hang around. And this is one of the things we've seen from the Braves the last couple of years. Now, look, he's been a terrific player, and I think they would like to have kept him. But, again, it needed to be at a lower number. But this philosophy is how the Braves have operated with some of the guys that have moved on. Again, Freddie Freeman, they offered the same annual number. The Dodgers tacked on an extra season. With Dansby Swanson, the Braves offered a 5-year deal. So did the Cubs. The Cubs offered $5 million more per season for Dansby. And here again, the Braves might have paid Travis d'Arnaud $6 million for a year, but they weren't going to pay him for 2 at age 36. I get it. This is where they are.
Well, especially when other teams that are historically better at overpaying players and not getting any production out of them, like the Los Angeles Angels, yes. The same team that's paying Anthony Rendon a ton of money, and the guy forgot how to hit a baseball. Like, the Angels are cool with overpaying somebody like that. Look, Travis Arnaud, again, good player. Don't want to make it sound like I'm dumping on his ability, but also time keeps on.
Yeah, he's
into the
36.
future. He's a little longer in the tooth than a lot of players that you can use that can help you right now and be able to help you in the future too. So any type of like multi-year commitment has to be done with somebody who's probably got a little more of a higher ceiling in the future.
If you didn't hear yesterday, too, and this is a kind of a throwaway deal, really, the Braves acquired backup infielder Nick Allen from the A's yesterday in exchange for a minor league right-handed pitcher named Jared Johnson. Allen, let's see, hit 175 with a homer and 4 runs batted in just 41 games with Oakland. 345, though, 7 homers, 51 driven in, and 16 steals at AAA. So I think they see him either as a project or, again, a guy they can make into a versatile backup, or maybe just a guy who can play shortstop at Gwinnett.
I was saying maybe this trade was done for Gwinnett. This was done for the Stripers to get them a solid shortstop. They want to win games too, It's not all just about development. You want to win games too.
Johnson, as a Braves minor league pitcher, 7-4 last year at Rome. That's high A. So
I love their empire.
Yeah, 7-4, 8 saves, and a 2.60. So that's not bad, but that's high A. So anyway, a couple of Braves moves there for you too. Tonight at 6:30, at least that's the airtime, 7 o'clock tip. The Gamecocks take on Towson. Both teams 1-1 so far. Carolina, of course, a week and a night ago, losing to North Florida, beat SC State on Friday. It's real simple here, Elijah. We've talked about it a bunch. You just got to keep winning. Towson, not a bad basketball team. The BPI. I'm so used to saying the FPI this time of year. Gives Carolina an 80% chance to win the game. Does the EBPI say the same thing?
I will say, yeah, that's about right. About a flat 80. I mean, I could see out of 100 times you play these games, Towson can win 20 of them.
All right.
Because Towson's not bad. And honestly, they went to St. Mary's, who I think is a really good team, and that was a 7-point loss.
Yeah.
Played a Division II opponent in the next game and beat them the way you should beat a non-D1 opponent. But Towson plays slow. South Carolina still plays slow. It's going to be interesting to see how this works out. This is a perfect in-between game. I don't think Towson is better than North Florida, who, by the way, just got done dropping a hundo on Georgia Tech, and they now have 2 wins against Power 4 opponents on the road.
That's all. Listen, that's what you got to hope for.
If you're a South Carolina fan, you better be the biggest Ospreys fan once A-Sun play rolls around and make that blemish just on your resume a little better.
Oh, you're not going to see him again unless it's in the national tournament. So you
North Florida
them to go undefeated.
North Florida is now in the top 100 in offensive efficiency.
Well,
was not expecting that at all.
Turn that into
something. They play Georgia tonight too. North Florida plays Georgia tonight on the road. But I think, back to the original point, North Florida I think is a better team than Towson. Towson is a much better team than South Carolina State.
Yeah,
so if you saw both of those games and you need, I guess, maybe a frame of reference for this team compared to the other 2 they've played, this is the middle ground here.
Yeah. South Carolina needs to win it. We'll have it at 6:30 with Derek and Judge Manning on the call. 7 o'clock tip. Gamecocks and Towson coming up. And finally, congratulations to Shelley Smith's Gamecock women's soccer team. If you missed it yesterday, late in the afternoon, they were indeed selected to host in the opening round of the NCAA women's soccer tournament. That game will be Friday night against East Carolina over at the Graveyard. And Shelley will give us a full preview on that one coming up Thursday here on the program. Looking forward to that. But again, Gamecocks and ECU, first round of the NCAA women's soccer tournament. Friday night, I think it's at 6. The men's soccer announcement show isn't until later this week, and there's still a chance. I think the Gamecock men are on the bubble for that tournament. That's what I would say, on the bubble.
Fate lies in the hands of the committee.
That's right. Come back on the other side. A lot more from Shane Beamer's press conference today as we get ready for Carolina, Missouri this Saturday. You're listening to the Postgame Show. Might get a little chillier here in the coming days. It might not, but you need to be ready for it no matter what. You can always beat the seasons with AAA Heating and Air across the South Carolina Midlands. Is it time for a new system at the house? Do you just have no clue as to how old it is? Maybe you moved in and you're like, well, they said it was built in whatever, but I don't know how old it is. Is it working right? Are you spending too much on your power bill? Now is a great time for a system upgrade. Guaranteed financing options. All right, 12 months, no payments or interest when you purchase a new system from AAA in 2024. A 15-year parts and labor warranty, a $1,500 system buyback rebate. Again, what a fantastic opportunity Roy and Dana Finley are providing their customers. Ready for an instant quote? Log on to callAAAtoday.com. That's callAAAtoday.com, or speak with one of their great staffers, 803-677-1500. Tell them we sent you to AAA Heating and Air. Minutes after 5 o'clock on this Tuesday, Brews Day afternoon. It's still Brews Day.
It is.
Ryan's
Brews
gone.
Day is a whole day celebration.
Yeah, and again, it was a Ryan, day on the show because we
Yes.
had Ryan Suckup as well.
Got to say no Buckeye after that.
Yeah,
That way no
I-
one gets any wrong.
I said Ryan Day earlier, like very fast, and I didn't want somebody that might be like driving and doing, like, wait, they're having Ryan Day. We didn't have Ryan Day, but it was a Ryan Day.
no Buckeye.
No. So there you go. It is now back into the Gamecocks, though. You can hear those interviews, by the way, on the website,
Already up.
on the podcast page, on the app.
Actually, I'm 2 clicks away from officially putting the second.
I'll let you do that. You want to go ahead and do it now, just to prove to people that it's live radio and live uploading of audio content?
Yep, I clicked submit just now.
Look at that.
It's up.
1075thegame.com, 1075 The Game app, App Store, Google Play.
Listen to our podcast. I literally put the entire show up in three different segments,
Nice.
3 different hours. So you're like, oh man, I listened the first hour of the show and the third hour, but I was really busy in hour number 2. Well, we isolate them so you can go back and listen.
Look at you, man. You're making the world a better
Always
place.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was my purpose in life was to make your audible listening habits a little bit easier.
Who knew? Speaking of listening, let's do this now. Shane Beamer asked today, what is making the Gamecock run game so much more effective of late?
I'd say it's all the above. Certainly Rocket and Oscar and Juju and all of those running backs are good backs, and they're doing a nice job. I saw some stat this morning that Luke Day gave me about Rocket's yards after contact last week was the highest in the nation, which I believe it. He's breaking tackles, and he's a hard guy to bring down. So certainly you look at who's carrying the ball. Anytime you have a quarterback with the ability to run the football, it's going to make your rushing offense, I don't want to say necessarily better, but have a chance to be a lot more productive because of the element that brings. Offensive line-wise, I think those guys are doing some really good things. You've got, Josiah and Tree playing at left tackle that are young guys, but Case and Henry's doing a nice job as a right tackle, and Vershawn's an older guy that's been around here longer than I have, and the fact that he came in, 2020, and then Kamar and Trevon and Torricelli at the guard position are really good football players right now. So it's a good group. We've been able to stay healthy. We've got continuity on there as well. Then I'd say some schematic things as well. Give credit to that offensive staff for what they've done from a schematic standpoint, whether it be going into the season, just, some new tweaks in the run game or things that we've added or adjusted during the year as well. I think we've just continued to get better each week, and it's experience, it's scheme, it's coaching, it's talent, it's all the above.
And it's working for South Carolina, no question about that, certainly as of late. I know this next one, I'll let Elijah set it up because he asked the question, but it pertains to the run game in some way, but then I guess Shane kind of took you in a different direction.
Yeah, so I asked a two-parter because he did tell me when I asked about perimeter blocking last week to ask him about it next Tuesday. I remembered, so I was like, I will lead off with that. But then in terms of previewing the Missouri game, really curious to hear what his scouting report is on the Missouri wide receivers, which if you just look at this offense this year, that's really all they have to gloat about. I mean, Brady Cook regressed, then he's gotten hurt. The running game hadn't been what it was like last year, but the one thing that still remains dangerous about this Missouri team is Luther Burden, Theo Weiss, Mookie Cooper. The collection of receivers, even Brett Norfleet at tight end is a really good pass catcher. So what challenge is it going to be for your defensive backs to make sure that those guys don't have the game against you like they did last season?
Yeah, you've got to tackle. I mean, Burden and Weiss, they're going to get their catches. It'd be great if I looked at the stat sheet after the game Saturday night. They didn't have any catches. Is that realistic? Probably not. What we've got to do is do a really good job tackling. It's really impressive watching those two guys, what they do once they catch the ball, the yards after contact. They get the ball to Burden in a lot of different ways, whether it be handing the ball off to him on a 4th and 1 the other night against Oklahoma on a jet sweep, or they get in an unbalanced formation and he's off the ball to the field and they motion him in, they motion him out, and he runs an out and up for a 50-yard touchdown. I mean, they just find different ways to get the ball in his hands, or getting a bunch set into the boundary against Vanderbilt and run a naked boot and drag drag him all the way across the field and nobody can run with him, and he catches it and runs it in for a touchdown. So we've got to limit what he does and what Theo does with the ball in their hands after they catch it, which is easier said than done. Plus Weiss is a really big receiver also, so he'll catch a ball, then he does a really good job of getting vertical, and he's a hard guy to bring down. He's a twitchy, shifty, tall, big athletic guy. So that would be the biggest thing is, let's limit their catches, but when they do catch the ball, make sure we're limiting what they do yards after the catch and after contact. And then his perimeter blocking, it was okay against Vanderbilt, if that was the other question as well. Needs to be better.
All right. Sorry, Coach. Sorry, Elijah. He did pause there.
He did, because I guess he kind of forgot what I asked at the first one. Then he's like, oh, well, in regards to that, can be better.
Yeah, sorry. Didn't mean to step on anybody right there.
Shane is.
All right, I know I told you we were going to play one cup, but I'm going to save that for the drive round. Instead, can you go to number 9 here, please, sir? This is just staying with the theme of the run game that we've been talking about, so I want to stay with this. This is more from Shane on Rocket Sanders just now playing at 100%.
I haven't necessarily asked him. I would imagine if you asked him, he would probably say that he feels like it. He's worked really hard, and to get his body in a position. I know how productive he was in 22 when we played him out there at Arkansas in the year that he had, and he looks a lot like that guy to me from my vantage point as well. And kudos to him, just the way that he's worked. I mean, you guys have heard me say it, I think, from January until literally now. I mean, he's in that weight room at 6:15 a.m. just getting extra work and doing exercises to not necessarily get stronger. He wasn't in there lifting. He was in there doing exercises to try and strengthen, parts of his body and get them in a better position to play. No necessarily weights, just stretches and mobility exercises and things like that he was in there on his own doing, and he was very committed to doing that. He stayed up here the whole month of May when he didn't have to, when everybody else had gone home, except for the offensive lineman, I guess. So he's just been very convicted to and driven to do the things that he needed to do to be a great player, and it's good to see him having the success that he's having right now because he's worked really hard for it.
No doubt he's worked really hard, and he does seem to be at peak performance. Again, the screen touchdown just seems to more than any other single play, and I know he'd probably rather hear about a run, but he's had some explosive runs too. But that just seemed to encapsulate a lot of what the entire offense is able to do, that touchdown off the screenplay.
That's what their strengths are right now.
And how many actual yards did he run on that play? Yeah.
See, this is where I wish they were tracked. Kind of like in the NFL, they have like the next gen stats. So they track the players. Each player has trackers on them. So that's how you see the dots that people will put or whatever. I would love to see exactly how fast or how much, how many yards he actually gained in that, or even for the season. How many yards has Rocket Sanders ran for this season?
Right.
Up and down the field and east-west to try to get every single yard possible. Very curious about that.
We'll have more from Coach Beamer in the drive around the SEC. There's not a whole lot of action this weekend in conference play. The Gamecocks are one of just 4 conference games. We'll discuss quickly the other 3. There's a couple of basketball notes to get to and a couple of clerical stories across the SEC. You're listening to the Postgame Show.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to get to, they're causing some issues on the roadways. We'll start with the disabled vehicle. Has traffic moving a little more slowly on Columbiana Drive at Lake Murray Boulevard. Got some accidents at Clemson Road, at Hardscrabble Road, Highway 6, at US 378 and Sunset Boulevard. One on I-20 West at Broad River Road near Exit 65. One on Jacobs Mill Pond Road at Wood Creek Farm Road. One on Marshall Street between Colonial Drive and West Street. Got one on Sparkleberry Lane at Grace's Way near Spring Valley High School. One on US 378 at Old Eastover Road. And lastly, one on 378 near McCord's Ferry Road.
It is Drive Around the SEC time on this Tuesday. Do want to remind you, an hour from now, the Derek Scott and Judge Casey Manning on the call. South Carolina men's basketball taking on Towson State. Or just Towson now, right?
Yeah, drop the state.
Yeah, sorry, just Towson.
It's like Facebook.
I think we mentioned
it's no
that
longer
earlier.
the Facebook, Jay Phillips. It's just Facebook. Drop the.
Spacebook, MyFace. Those are good sites.
Yeah, that's what Bill Belichick's on. Face Snap.
Some of those what was the other one?
Other social media app?
Is MySpace still a thing?
No,
Okay.
it isn't. Hadn't been for a long time.
I don't know if it's like still there, like, at like certain, I don't know.
Man, that was very middle school for me.
Okay.
I had a killer MySpace page. At one point in time.
I don't do enough on Facebook. I do have a Facebook page. I don't do much on it. It's not because I don't like it. I do so much on Twitter, which I don't always like. I'd probably rather be on Facebook more, just talking to friends that I went to high school and college with and stuff like that. But anyway, all right. Well, before we go down that rabbit hole, let's do this. Mississippi was fined twice for storming the field against Georgia tonight. Did you know this?
No, I didn't know they got two separate fines.
They did. They got the $250,000 fine because they'd already been fined once for storming the field. That will go to Georgia. They also got a $100,000 fine from the conference for storming the field early because they did. Again, the game wasn't over.
Like, whoa. A false start's only 5 yards, all right? Just make it a false start. That's all we got to do.
The game wasn't over. The fans went out. Then they had to get all the fans. Y'all have seen it by now. They had to get all the fans off the field so that they could have a kneel down, and then they could rush the field again. So they were technically fined twice, $350,000. I believe. Let me make sure. I know the $250,000 goes to Georgia. I don't know. Let's see. I think the 100. Let me make sure that yes, the 100. Yes. So all $350,000 will go to the University of Georgia. And again, just to remind you, if you don't recall this, the new policy, which really isn't new anymore. This was passed last spring, like spring 23. Court storming or field storming fines now do not go to the conference. They go to the opposing school. Now, I don't know that that means that you write them a check that night. I imagine the conference still facilitates movement of said cash.
They should probably make sure that check clears. I'd write my opponent a fake check.
Sure.
And then when they try to claim it didn't.
What's the
go
account
through.
number? 1, 2, 3, 4.
You writing this down?
5.
And they just keep giving numbers. Fake.
So yeah, they got fined twice, man. $350. Worth it? Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Did you, Lane Kiffin
Still
was on
stupid.
Dan Patrick today. He said they had been. Remember, I told you earlier. I believe that Missouri and Eli Drinkwitz are working on the South Carolina game. Lane made mention, and that it had been for weeks, not just like since Sunday. Lane made mention that he and the coaching staff were absolutely in pockets working on Georgia. They felt like this was the win for them above any other because of what Georgia has done, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
In that sense, I mean, back-to-back titles a couple years ago. I still think Georgia was, at worst, the second best team in America last year. This year, not so much. Again, I don't know what's wrong this year, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, there's a lot of brokenness in that.
But anyway,
offense.
so worth the 350, I suppose, to Ole Miss. But again, Georgia gets it. What will Kirby do with the 350? Probably ain't up to Kirby.
No, maybe not. I would put it in an Uber fund. That way some of his players don't have to get behind the wheel of a car.
I would too. That's a fine choice. Speaking of Missouri, starting center Connor Tollison is definitely out for the season with a knee injury, so that's a blow to the Tigers' offensive line. That offense has been banged up anyway, and now a veteran center will be done for the season. A serious note here real quick. Todd Golden did coach Florida last night. They beat Grambling 86-62. He received a standing ovation when the team took the court. Of that, he was asked about it, and he said, quote, "I thought it was great. I thought the fans were as usual, and obviously during the current circumstances, I appreciate it." He says, "What's personally getting me through this right now, respecting the situation, my family, my team, my coaching staff, we're continuing to attack it like we normally would every day." I think he, by that, means getting better at basketball, not a potential lawsuit or anything else. If you did not hear, the Florida basketball coach has been named in a Title IX complaint. The Florida Independent student newspaper had a very lengthy report on this on Friday. Much of what is alleged is very damaging if proven to be true. It would seem that the student newspaper has been able to corroborate a lot of what they reported, so we'll see where this goes next. But he is coaching until told otherwise.
Good luck, buddy.
Yeah.
That's all I got, because a lot of things that are in that Title IX complaint, I would say, are very provable.
Yeah.
Like text messages.
Yes.
And pictures that are sent.
Sexual harassment, sexual exploitation, stalking, and cyber stalking, amongst other alleged charges.
Yeah.
But he did coach last night and should be continuing. They take on Florida State in men's basketball coming up on Friday. Finally, looking ahead to this weekend's games in the SEC, as we said, football-wise, just 3 other conference games. Georgia-Tennessee is the marquee matchup of the weekend in college football. Georgia, number 3 in the country, at least for now. Again, that'll change here in about 2 hours' time. Georgia is a 10-point favorite in a game that has an over-under of only 48.5. Give me those points. Yeah.
Yeah, against that, with that defense, though, look, Tennessee's got a really good defense.
They do.
Are they going to score a lot on Georgia? Not a lot. I think that should be a really low-scoring game. I don't expect either team to be able to score a ton of points. We're slowly watching the SEC sometimes devolve into the Big Ten in terms of just really good, defenses and offenses not putting up a lot of numbers. But I think that's going to be a really low-scoring game, and it would take a lot. It would take a shutout maybe to win by more than that.
I kind of agree. But Georgia better get right, man, because if not, and again,
they're in trouble.
If Tennessee loses, Tennessee's not done. It's certainly damaging to them. Georgia loses, that's 3.
Georgia loses, they're done.
I just don't see a 9-3 Georgia, despite having the number 1 strength of schedule in the country, which as of today they do. The committee will certainly give them credit for that, but then they would also say, yeah, and you lost 3 of those games to top 10 teams.
Yeah, Heather Dinich was saying on the Pat McAfee show today that she's not ruling out the possibility of a 3-loss team and from the SEC making it in. She said specifically Georgia, and that would make me so mad like uncharacteristically mad. Like they would be getting in merely because of who people thought they were at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right to a large degree. Again, how much belief we put in the metrics has to start to matter here. And I don't know enough about it, man. I tell you that all the time. I mean, like, you know, I'm a smart person, but when you try to explain strength of record to me, I just glaze over, dude. I don't get it. I'm like, okay, what? I mean, again, it's like a wins above replacement. I get it enough.
Right.
But do I believe in multiple computer rankings that say Georgia has the toughest schedule in the country? And some of these other metrics, if I have to believe in them relative to the eye test, then I can see a 3-loss Georgia doing it. And we've talked about this. We're going to have to get used to it. I mean, you and I are far apart in age, man, and our listening audience right now probably is all points in between. And right now, we're still beholden, and I include myself in this. We're still beholden to it. Did you lose? Cool, you're in.
Yeah.
But Georgia, number 1 strength of schedule. Indiana at 10-0, number 100 strength of schedule. There's truth in the middle there somewhere, but where?
Right.
And it ain't up to me to discuss. I can sit here and rant or promote as necessary. So we'll see. The other conference games, Texas is at Arkansas. The Horns are favored by 13.5, and LSU is at Florida in the longest-running rivalry that neither school cares about. It is LSU minus 4.5 in the Swamp. That one is the 3:30 game on Saturday. We'll come back on the other side of the break with some more sound from Shane Beamer on why Lenoris Sellers is growing into his role as a leader. But first, callers 3, 4, and 5. All right? 3, 4, and 5. We will hook each of you up with a pair of tickets to see the number 1 Gamecocks take on Coppin State Thursday at Colonial Life Arena. Callers 3, 4, 5, 803-404-6100. Get you some women's basketball tickets for Thursday. You are listening to the Postgame Show. Welcome back in. Final few minutes of the post-game show. Once again, a reminder, tonight at 6:30, Gamecock men's basketball in Columbia and Myrtle Beach. That's a 7 o'clock tip. Towson in town. What is Towson? Are they the Tigers?
They are the Tigers.
That's what I thought. Thanks. That's in Maryland. I know that much.
I do know that, too.
Right outside of Baltimore. I know that much, too.
Very nice.
Yeah, thanks.
Very nice.
I've been there, not to the school, but I've been to Towson.
I've never been to Maryland.
Oh, yeah?
Have not, ever.
You should go. It's got a lot of nice stuff.
I do love crab cakes.
Yeah, they have that. It's fun to go to the Baltimore Inner Harbor and get on one of those paddle boats. They have a really cool aquarium. A lot of good restaurants down there. So, good time. You should go.
Very nice.
Yeah. All right. A lot of
try
history, too.
I do love history. Big history guy.
That guy wrote that anthem thing there, at least the poetry for it. So there's that.
Wait, he didn't play the electric guitar part?
Nah, that was later.
That's very unfortunate.
So,
well, he didn't really.
I will say,
Really
the flag that Francis Scott Key was looking at when he wrote the poem for the Star Spangled Banner is on display at the Smithsonian, and it is actually...
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
But if I'm getting bombarded in the middle of war, the last thing I'm thinking about is what type of killer beat am I trying to drop here? That's not what's in my mind. So props to him for having the foresight. I would not. I am not trying to write an anthem in the middle of all that.
Yeah. Those of you who have been know, like it's kept in a really cool display, but it's very dark because it's so old that light messes it up. And it's really big, man.
The massive flag.
It's really big. And sadly, like back in the day when it was making a tour around the country, apparently, people would take little like patches of it. Like, oh, it came through. Yeah. They were cutting pieces of it off.
Oh, come on.
And finally, eventually, somebody was like, we got to quit doing that. Like, it is the flag. It's not a flag. It's the flag.
Yeah.
But yeah, you should make your way up to Baltimore. It's a cool town.
That would be really cool.
It's a cool town. And you can see where Terry Ford was born. There's a whole museum.
The Terry Ford Birth Museum.
That's right. But the gift shop sells like brass knuckles.
They sell really old Miller Lite cans. Nightclubs, pay stubs.
That's right. Fake IDs.
Actually, you have to be at least 21 to go into the gift shop.
But nobody is because they're all using fake IDs.
The fake ones, the bouncers aren't trained.
They don't care. How much money you got, kid?
They ain't getting paid enough.
That's right. That's right.
They don't get paid enough to care to decipher through who is coming in and out of the Terry Ford Museum gift shop. There are tasty cakes everywhere.
I got T-shirts with Terry's mugshot from when he was like 14.
Anything Terry ever stole.
That stuff's it's replicas of what he stole. All that stuff's been fenced, man. It's gone. It's gone.
Just the replica.
Yeah, it's just the replica. Hey, Terry, remember that Rolex you stole? Look, you could buy one.
It's kind of like the crime museum in Pigeon Forge,
we better
Tennessee.
be careful because otherwise you and I are going to be doing like the 2 a.m. shift. Let's get you one more.
We may never be on these microphones again. That's a deep drive to left center field.
This will be a good note here for us. Cut number 13 on the Shane Beamer list, please, sir. The head coach, speaking of his young quarterback, Lenore Sellers, and his leadership capabilities.
I think steady and just doesn't really change his persona. He is who he is. I think he's very confident. I know he's very confident. He's very poised. He's a competitor, as I've talked to you guys about before. But I really haven't seen a change in him. He's I don't know if outspoken is the word, but I think he's more willing to speak up in some ways. And I'm on a group text with some of our leaders and seniors, and yesterday the big discussion was uniforms, and Lenoris was voicing his displeasure with someone's uniform choice, and I don't know if he would have voiced his displeasure back in September, but he was willing to speak up and say that, no, I don't like that. Maybe that's part of the experience, I don't know, but as far as what I see, I go to those quarterback meetings pretty much every morning with Dow and Mike Shula and Dow Loggins and the quarterbacks, and he's the same guy in there. But I think he's just he's never comfortable, but I think he's very more at ease, maybe understanding the position when you're the starting quarterback in the SEC at a place like South Carolina, when you're the home state kid. That young man, that's a big responsibility, and he was dealing with that certainly at the beginning of the season. But I think he's really grown maybe more into that role and has a better handle on things. Not that he didn't before, but just has a better handle on it overall than he did.
So much of these things just continue to come with experience, and that's one of the things that we have to remind ourselves about when it comes to Lenora Sellers is how little football he's actually played as the starting quarterback at South Carolina, even missing a game and a half earlier, plus a few series here and there when he was a little bit banged up. And, it's interesting to hear there, too. I don't want to wear that uniform. Like, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know, no pun intended. I don't know what they're proposing. Listen, when you've got as many different combination possibilities, you could probably come up with some pretty weird stuff, like
just don't go all Chris Sale on us. Just keep the scissors away from Lenore.
Just don't cut it all up too. Those coordinators will speak tomorrow. We'll continue to get you ready for Carolina, Missouri. We'll recap the men's basketball game coming your way in about a half hour's time as well. Thanks to the Ryans and to Elijah. I'm Jay. See y'all.